The fog crawled out from the cracks in the old road like a living thing, wrapping around Mo Fan's SUV body in a sticky manner. The night was deep, and the blue light on the dashboard reflected his tired face, with bags under his eyes, and his fingers clenched the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. This S137 provincial road is usually a forgotten heartbroken bend. A few years ago, it was a shortcut connecting the urban area to the abandoned railway. Now it is only a potholed asphalt road and a shoulder overgrown with weeds. Mo Fan rubbed his temples. He had just returned from hauling goods out of town, and the customers' complaints were still echoing in his mind. The goods are late, I will deduct your money. He cursed lowly, stepped on the accelerator, and the engine roared through the fog curtain. In the rearview mirror, a faint blue light suddenly flashed. Mo Fan blinked, thinking it was an illusion. The fog was too thick. But the light was getting closer and closer, soundless, like a stalking beast. Car lights? No, where are the cars on this broken road? His heart skipped a beat and he glanced behind him, an old car with rusty body and distorted outline like a ghost crawling out of a black and white film. There were no lights or engine sounds, but it was approaching at a terrifying speed, and the front of the car crashed straight into his trunk. Fuck. Mo Fan stepped on the accelerator, the SUV ejected, and the tires screamed and rubbed on the slippery road. His heart felt like he had been hit by a hammer. He glanced at the wall clock in the car, the originally ticking second hand suddenly froze at 12 o'clock. Time stopped. Impossible. There was a musty rusty smell in the air, like the rotten smell of a tomb. It penetrated into his nose from the vents and made his stomach churn. The phone vibrated suddenly, and the screen lit up. Instead of notifications, it turned out to be blood-red ancient runes, twisting and squirming like living ink stains. In the center of the rune, a line of thin whispers sounded, not from the speaker, but directly into the brain. Return, soul, the rails will return forever. The voice was hoarse like nails scraping iron, mixed with countless tiny murmurs, like thousands of innocent souls wailing in the ears. Mo Fan's hands trembled and he wanted to turn off the phone, but found that his fingers penetrated the screen. No, was it an illusion? The runes on the screen suddenly enlarged, reflecting his face twisted into a ghost. Go away. Mo Fan roared. Jiang Chen's ghost story flashed through his mind. Jiang Chen is his old friend and an avid fan of urban legends. Last week, he even patted his chest and boasted in the bar, "Brother, this S137 highway is no joke. It is connected to a century-old abandoned railway. Hundreds of engineers died when building the station there. Runes are carved by resentful spirits. Ghost cars appear late at night. I am chasing after them. The souls of living people. I heard that when the car stops, time freezes, and the runes summon the ghost army, dragging people into eternal reincarnation, and chewing up souls on the railway tracks." At that time, Mo Fan only regarded it as a joke, and drank a beer from Jiang Chen. Go away, stop reading those supernatural forums. Now, those words were like a knife piercing the heart. The road had a series of curves, and he accelerated to the limit. The engine overheated and whined, but he couldn't get rid of the ghost car. The steering wheel suddenly stiffened, as if being pinched by invisible hands. Mo Fan's vision blurred, and the whisper in his ear turned into laughter. Join us, reincarnation, the rails will last forever. Sweat mixed with mist slipped into his eyes, he gritted his teeth and braked hard. The SUV swung 180 degrees, and the front of the car was facing the ghost car. The light pierced the fog curtain, and finally I could see clearly. Dozens of people inside the car. They looked like engineers, their bodies were stained with rust, and they were holding rusty hammers. The movement of smashing the car window was frozen in mid-air, runes pulsating in their palms, and blood was shining brightly. The phantom car was following closely behind, its tires grinding silently against the road, making a subtle sound of bone cracking. Mo Fan turned the steering wheel fiercely, and the SUV slid sideways into the curve. The car body brushed the iron railing on the road shoulder, sparks flying. In the fog, He caught a glimpse of a strange change in the rearview mirror. The phantom car window slowly lowered, revealing blurry figures, more than one, layered on top of each other, with pale and eyeless faces, and black mist threads spitting out from their mouths split to the base of the ears. Those shadows stretched out their hands, as skinny as firewood, with the same blood-red runes outlined on their fingertips, and grabbed at him. Despair surged in like a tide. Mo Fan's legs went weak and his mind went blank. This is fucking real. He wanted to escape, but found that the car door was locked, and the fog outside the window condensed into countless pale hands, slapping the glass and making a thunderous roar. The ghost car approached, and the front of the car hit his bumper, and there was a silent but phantom pain of tearing bones and flesh. At this moment, a road sign flashed, "Abandoned Station Branch Road." Mo Fan had a flash of inspiration, stepped on the accelerator and rushed into the branch road. The narrow road was as winding as an intestine. The ghost car was unable to follow it. It let out an angry and distorted roar and gradually disappeared into the fog. He drove for several kilometers and did not dare to slow down until the road lights came back again. The second hand of the wall clock suddenly resumed ticking, the runes on the phone dimmed, and the rancid smell dissipated. Mo Fan collapsed on the seat, gasping for air, his hands shaking like chaff. Go home, must go home. He stepped on the accelerator and headed straight to his apartment in the city. Downstairs in the apartment, neon lights flashed, and the owner of the roadside barbecue stall was still shouting, "Mutton skewers, fresh." Mo Fan parked the car and stumbled out of the car. The boss glanced at him and was stunned. "Brother, why do you look like a ghost? What happened?" Mo Fan ignored it, rushed into the elevator, and pressed the 17th floor. In the mirror, I have eye circles as black as a panda's, and my lips are purple, as if I just crawled out of a grave. Mo Fan breathed a sigh of relief and leaned on the sofa, still replaying the ghost car figure in his mind. It's okay, it's just foggy on the road. Be careful and go home early. I'll wait for you. In the background, the roar of the train could be heard faintly, and the rhythm of the wheels rolling against the rails sent shivers down his spine. Suddenly, Qiao Zhixia screamed, "Oh! Why did the car door close by itself?" Before she could finish her words, there was a dull boom, like a heavy iron door slamming down, accompanied by the passengers' exclamations and chaotic footsteps. "Hey! The door is stuck. Oh my God, someone is trapped." Qiao Zhixia's voice was intermittent. "Brother Fan, the door is closed, it's so dark, runes," on the phone. The call ended abruptly, leaving only a busy signal. After entering the door, the first thing I did was dial Qiao Zhixia's number. She is his girlfriend. She is coming back from a business trip tonight by night train and is expected to arrive at the station in half an hour. Baby, where have you been? The phone was connected, and Qiao Zhixia's voice was tired but sweet. "Brother Fan, I'm on the train, and I'll be entering the station soon. It was very foggy just now, and the train was delayed. What about you? Have you got the goods back?" Mo Fan's heart stopped for a beat. He dialed again like crazy, but no one answered. Jiang Chen's words echoed in his mind again, "Railway runes, the closing of the train door means the curse is activated." He rushed to the window and looked down at the night, as the fog began to gather again. The phone suddenly vibrated again, and the blood-red runes reappeared on the screen. This time it was not a whisper, but a clear map. A red dot flashed, marked "Abandoned Station," Qiao Zhixia's location confirmed. "Return, reincarnation starts." Mo Fan's pupils shrank suddenly, and the phone fell to the ground with a crisp and shattering sound. He picked it up, and the runes had seeped into the cracks of the glass, pulsing like blood vessels. Abandoned Station, that damn place he almost broke into just now. Where is Qiao Zhixia trapped? No, it's impossible. But the whispers started again, chasing, souls, calling of the railway tracks. Outside the window, the shadow of a blue car faintly flashed across the highway in the distance, approaching the city. He grabbed the car keys and rushed out of the door. When the elevator door opened, a neighbor's aunt poked her head in. "Xiao Mo, what are you doing so late? Your face is so pale." Mo Fan didn't stop and ran towards the stairs with thunderous footsteps. The aunt's eyes widened and she murmured, "Is this kid possessed?" The owner of the barbecue stall downstairs heard the noise and looked over to see Mo Fan jump onto the SUV and drive away with the engine roaring. He couldn't help shouting to the customer, "Oh, that kid is driving like a ghost chasing after him. Is there a monster in the fog tonight?" The SUV tore through the night. Mo Fan's eyes were red, and there was only one thought in his mind: abandoned station, save Zhixia. In the rearview mirror, the phantom car lights came on again, following silently. The second hand of the clock started to move backwards again. Jiang Chen's call came at this time, and Mo Fan put it on speakerphone. "Chenzi. That ghost car is real. Something happened to Zhixia, the train door is closed, and the rune points to the abandoned station." Jiang Chen was silent for 2 seconds, and his voice trembled. "Brother Fan, fuck, you really met it?" According to legend, the engineer's spirit is carrying the spirit of resentment. Tool, the rune summons the ghost army. That station is the source of the century-old railway curse. I'll come right away." He gasped like a ghost. "Calm down, don't do it alone. Brother, are you a monster?" The tires of the SUV made a harsh crunching sound on the gravel road. Mo Fan stared at the blood-red talisman door in front of him. It is not an ordinary rusty station entrance, but a living wound, torn from the broken walls and ruins, with blood-like runes pulsing around the edges. The air is filled with a strong rusty and rotten odor, like countless severed limbs soaked in sewage. Whispers flowed out from the depths of the talisman gate, turning into a chorus of thousands of innocent souls. "Welcome, return, the souls have returned." The inside of the talisman gate was as dark as an abyss, with the phosphorescence of the railway tracks faintly flickering, twisting into an endless maze of reincarnation. In the rearview mirror, the ghostly blue shadow of the car was approaching, and the figures on the car window all stretched out their arms, with skinny fingers tracing runes, making a cracking sound of broken joints. Mo Fan's throat was as dry as sandpaper, and his heart was beating like it was about to burst. He turned the steering wheel fiercely, and the SUV slid sideways and brushed against the edge of the door. Sparks burst out, and a wisp of black mist rushed into the window. The cold touch felt like a dead man's fingers caressing his cheek. "Get out!" He roared, stepped on the accelerator, and the car body ejected backwards. The tires kicked up mud and mist. The ghost car let out a distorted roar, like metal being torn alive. The front of the car slammed into the talisman door and instantly turned into black smoke and dissipated. But the talisman door was not closed, and there were more figures inside. Their pale faces had no eyes or noses, and only a bloody mouth cracked to the base of the ears was left, spitting out rusty mist and rushing towards him. Mo Fan had no time to explain, so he hung up the phone and stepped on the accelerator. In the mist, the outline of the abandoned station gradually emerged: broken walls, rails like giant pythons, skewed rusty carriages, and faintly flickering lights. The ghost car approached, and the figures on the car windows all turned their heads, their eyeless faces split into grins. Mo Fan gritted his teeth. "Come on, I'm not afraid." At the entrance of the station, a blood-red talisman door suddenly opened, and the whisper turned into a roar: "Welcome, back. Can't enter." Qiao Zhixia's intermittent scream flashed through Mo Fan's mind: "The runes are so dark." He gritted his teeth and turned around. The SUV crashed on the narrow road, the mist scratching the paint like claws, and the chase behind them whispered, "Reincarnation, the tracks will last forever." After driving for several kilometers, the lights of the S-137 provincial road reappeared, and he dared to breathe. The red dot on the mobile phone map is still flashing, and the location of the abandoned station remains unchanged, but the second hand is frozen at 12 o'clock. Fine frost has condensed around the pointer, and a putrid stench oozes from the dashboard. Jiang Chen. You have to find that guy first, he knows this shit. The door creaked open, and Jiang Chen stood at the door with messy hair, eyes as wide as bells, and half a bottle of beer in his hand. He was wearing a t-shirt printed with ghost story patterns, his face was pale, and his already thin body trembled. Brother Fan. Brother Fan. Are you really fucking alive? You said on the phone just now that ghost cars are chasing you, I thought you were joking. His eyes fell on Mo Fan, scanning him from head to toe. His clothes were torn, stained with mud and black mist remnants, his face was as pale as paper, his lips were purple, and his eyes were as red and bloodshot as cobwebs. Jiang Chen gasped, the beer bottle clattered to the ground, and the broken glass splashed with foam. Oh my God, you crawled back from hell, right? You can tell by the smell of rusty tombs. Come in, damn, you are shaking like this, and you are still driving? Mo Fan stumbled into the house. Jiang Chen's apartment was in chaos, the walls were covered with urban legend posters, the table was piled with supernatural forum printing papers, and the air was filled with the smell of instant noodles and stale cigarettes. He collapsed on the sofa, gasping for air. Sweat mixed with mist slid down, leaving wet black marks on the floor. Jiang Chen locked the door, drew the curtains, and lowered his voice to a whisper, Brother Fan, speak slowly. The S-137 ghost train is real. I have checked countless cases. When the century-old railway station was built, hundreds of engineers were killed and injured. No monuments were erected on the graves, and they were all buried under the railway tracks. The resentful spirits were unwilling to accept it and carved runes to curse future generations of drivers. Phantom cars carried their souls in the middle of the night, the clock stopped and time froze, and the runes summoned reincarnation, dragging the living people into the abandoned station and chewing them. The missing drivers all turned into figures on the car windows. Mo Fan braked, turned around and headed straight to Jiang Chen's apartment in the city. The night wind howled and the neon lights stretched into long lines. His eyes were bloodshot and he held the steering wheel with white knuckles. Repeatedly in my mind were Qiao Zhixia's voice and the loud bang of the train door, like a hammer smashing bones. The lights in the apartment area were sparse, and a homeless man huddled in a cardboard box on the roadside. He caught a glimpse of his SUV whizzing by, muttering, "Madman, driving like a ghost." Mo Fan ignored it and rushed up to Jiang Chen's floor, slamming the door with his fist like thunder. "Chenzi. Open the door. I'm going to die." As he spoke, Jiang Chen tremblingly picked up the car key that Mo Fan had dropped. When his fingertips touched it, he retracted it like an electric shock. This key is as cold as a corpse. Did the runes seep in? He grabbed Mo Fan's phone, and the blood-red runes pulsated in the cracks on the screen, whispering vaguely, "Return, soul." Jiang Chen's pupils shrank suddenly, and his face turned from white to green. Fuck. This is the railway talisman, the engineer's blood sacrifice pattern. The reincarnation track will never end. He opened the camera with trembling hands, and the photo that Mo Fan had just blindly taken on the car jumped out. The talisman doors suddenly opened, the ghost car and figures were stacked, and the runes were twisted like living snakes. Mo Fan felt chills go down his spine, the rotten smell came out of the phone, and his nose felt like fire. He dialed 110 with a hoarse voice, "Police. My girlfriend Qiao Zhixia disappeared on the night train. The rune map points to the abandoned station. The ghost car is chasing me." On the other end of the phone, the attendant lazily said, "Sir, calm down. The train delay is normal. The abandoned station is restricted area." "Rune. Are you drunk? Provide evidence." Mo Fan sent the photo angrily, but the other party paused for 2 seconds and his tone turned cold. "PS picture. Report a false police report in the middle of the night and detain you, do you believe it?" and hung up. Jiang Chen was dumbfounded when he heard this, and murmured, "They will never believe it, Brother Fan, if you call the police, you will be treated as a lunatic. This is a curse to hide the truth." Jiang Chen wiped away the sweat, with cold sweat pouring down his forehead, "But there is a way. Paranormal investigator Han Xiao, my contact person on the forum. He specializes in cracking runes and has tracked railway ghost cases for many years. I will give you the number. He turned over his phone, and his hand was shaking so much that he entered it incorrectly 3 times, and there was an empty space around him. The air suddenly cooled down, and the curtains automatically fluttered without wind, whispering faintly, "Reincarnation, join." Mo Fan's SUV was parked downstairs, and the wall clock in the car was visible through the window glass. The second hand froze again, and the frost on the needle tip spread, like a spider web crawling all over the dashboard. Jiang Chen caught a glimpse and jumped up with a scream. The clock has stopped. The sign has come again. Brother Fan, your car has become a vehicle. Look at this. Jiang Chen clicked his fingers on the computer and quickly searched the internet, typing on the keyboard like a machine gun. Similar incidents, more than a dozen. 3 years ago, the truck driver disappeared in S137, and the same runes were left on his phone. Last year, the grandfather in the taxi evaporated, and his family heard the howling of the railway tracks on the phone. Police. Fong concluded the case as hallucination driving or unexpected disappearance, but the forum posts are full of sightings of ghost cars. Brother Fan, the Fu gate you took, is the source. In the abandoned station, Fu Guang summoned the ghost army, and Qiao Zhixia was probably dragged in by the train door. The door closed and the reincarnation started. The lights in the house flickered, fog seeped in from the cracks in the door, the rust and rotten smell was as thick as a solid substance, and the phantom of railroad tracks loomed on the floor, bending and coiling around the legs of the sofa. Mo Fan stood up, his eyes as calm as ice. "Chenzi, don't panic. Where is Han Xiao's number?" Jiang Chen swallowed and stared at him with admiration. You are not afraid? I would have peed my pants. Is this heart made of iron?" He handed over the note tremblingly, and as soon as he finished writing, the doorbell rang suddenly, like a hammer hitting the soul. The two looked at each other. Jiang Chen's face turned pale. Who? It's midnight. Mo Fan grabbed the crowbar and approached the cat's eye. There was a man standing outside the door. His suit was neat but covered with dust. His face was smooth and handsome, and the dark circles under his eyes were as deep as ravines. He was holding a black briefcase with a faint talisman on the edge. The man's voice came through the crack in the door, as low as coming from a tomb. "Mr. Mo Fan, open the door. I am Han Xiao, and I have been tracking your rune signal for a long time." Jiang Chen gasped and leaned against the wall with his legs weak. Han Xiao. Forum God, how does he know your address?" Mo Fan's heart was shocked and he slowly opened the door. Han Xiao stepped in, sniffing the air with his nose slightly twitching, the smell of rusty soles, the sign of frozen clocks, the S137 ghost car. The perfect reincarnation has started. His eyes were like knives, scanning the runes on the phone and the frozen clock photos, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. You think you can escape? Qiao Zhixia has been dragged into the curse cycle, the first round of rail tracks chewing souls, and she is now one of the figures on the window. Abandoned station Fuman, waiting for you all to return. Jiang Chen's eyes widened, and his voice trembled like chaff. Han, Brother Han, why did you come here? We just talked about you. Han Xiao's eyes were deep, and the briefcase was opened, and the runes inside were stacked, emitting a faint phosphorescence. The runes are connected, like blood vessels pulsing. I have been tracking for hundreds of years, every victim's cell phone is my beacon. But you, Mo Fan. He stared at Mo Fan, his pupils narrowed, and the fog around him disappeared. You escaped from the Fuman with a broken screen map. You have something different. Mo Fan clenched his fists, the smell of his sweat mixed with the rancid smell, and the iron crowbar whistled softly. Stop talking nonsense, how can we save Zhixia? Han Xiao chuckled, his voice was like nails scraping iron. Save? Survive tonight first. The ghost car has locked your breath, the second hand is reversed, the second stage of reincarnation, the ghost army is out. The abandoned railway track, not only the century-old engineer, but also all the missing drivers, are stacked layer by layer, waiting for you to break the spell cycle before it can end. Jiang Chen's legs went weak after hearing this, and he slumped down on the ground, muttering, "Brother Fan, he is right, you are a monster. You survived being chased by a ghost car, and you even called the police and came to my house. I was frightened to the point of peeing 3 times, but you don't have any panic in your eyes." Outside the window, the mist gathered, and the faint blue car shadow on the S-137 highway flashed in the distance, silently approaching the apartment. The second hand of the clock slowly reversed, looking back from 12 o'clock, making a tiny click, like bones reorganizing. Han Xiao closed the briefcase. "Let's go, the 3 of us will join forces and break into the abandoned station. Otherwise, reincarnation will begin with her." Mo Fan nodded, calm as an abyss, and grabbed the key. "Get in the car." Jiang Chen climbed up, his eyes turning from fear to enthusiasm. "Brother Fan, you take the lead, I will follow." "Brother Han, your spell is powerful, cover us." Han Xiao nodded slightly, a strange light flashed in his eyes. The 3 of them rushed out of the apartment. A neighbor in the corridor looked over and saw the ghostly figures of Mo Fan and the others. The aunt screamed, "The ghost is possessed. That kid brought 2 evil men." The SUV engine roared, tearing through the fog curtain, and headed straight to the abandoned station. In the rearview mirror, the fleet of ghost cars increased. Dozens of old-fashioned cars were silent and lightless, filled with pale figures, and the runes reflected the blood in the sky. Inside the car, there was a rotten stench, and the second hand sped up in reverse, whispering and roaring, "Return, all the troops are dispatched." Jiang Chen gripped Mo Fan's seat tightly, his voice trembling. "Brother Fan, you are as steady as an old dog, my heart is going to jump out of my chest." Han Xiao whispered, "He can be steady, because he has touched the edge of the talisman gate, and his soul is half awake." The talisman gate of the abandoned station suddenly opened wide, and the rails were phosphorescent like a huge mouth, and an army of ghosts poured out of it. The ghosts of the engineers were holding hammers, and the ghosts of the drivers were waving their sickles. The SUV fell on the inside of the rune gate, its tires smashed into the phosphorescent rails, making a shriek of tearing metal, and debris splattered on the roof like raindrops. The eternal night swallowed everything, and the headlight only illuminated the first 3 meters of the twisted track, which was curved like a living snake's gastrointestinal peristalsis. The edges were covered with blood-red runes, pulsating and whispering, "Return, soul, the rails will return forever." The air solidified into a rusty and putrid jelly that stuck to the skin, and every puff was like swallowing broken bones. Mo Fan slammed on the brakes, and the car skidded and hit the rail wall. Sparks exploded, and the rearview mirror reflected an army of ghosts, the ghost of the engineer dragging the hammer, his face collapsed into a hollow, the ghost of the driver wielding a sickle, his pale arms stretched like rubber, and the figures on the car windows opened their mouths and spat out mist. "Fuck. It's over. We've thrown ourselves into a fucking trap." Jiang Chen screamed, his voice breaking like broken glass. He scratched the dashboard with both hands, leaving white marks on his fingernails, and his eyes burst into blood vessels. The second hand accelerated in reverse, clicking like 1,000 insects gnawing at bones. Frost spread on the wall clock in the car, freezing the back of Mo Fan's hand. "Brother Fan. Brother Han. This maze is alive. The rails are moving, pulling our hearts." Han Xiao threw away his briefcase, and the talismans were scattered on the ground. The phosphorescence was as weak as a candle struggling in the wind. His face was ashen, and cracks appeared for the first time. The talisman gate is closed, and the second stage is activated. The reincarnation maze, time goes back, and a layer of soul is peeled off every minute. You can't hold on. The army of resentful ghosts came. The first wave of engineer ghosts smashed their hammers, and the hammerhead hit the rear of the SUV, which was as dented as paper. Shock waves spread into the car. Jiang Chen's head hit the sunroof, and his nosebleed spurted out black mist. Ah! He howled, grabbed Mo Fan's arm, and said with his fingers like pliers, "Brother Fan, where are your driving skills? Get rid of them. My legs are weak, and I'm about to pee." Mo Fan's forehead had veins popping up, and his nose was burning with putrid smell. His eyes were staring at the curve of the track ahead, and there was a vague phantom of the train door. Qiao Zhixia's figure twisted against the door, mouthing silently, "Help. Fu. Hey." His heart was pounding, and he growled, "Shut up. Sit tight." But the SUV's engine whined, the tires sank into the rune track groove, the car body tilted, the ghost sickle scraped across the window, leaving 10 bloody marks, and the black mist penetrated like fingers digging into the heart. Han Xiao gritted his teeth and picked up the ancient book and pulled it out from the depths of the briefcase. The parchment was yellow and the edges were stained with blood. When he opened the page, the runes jumped like a heartbeat. "Look. The century-old railway ghost summoning array. The engineer's blood sacrifice is here. The phantom car is the vehicle, capturing souls to replenish the army." Qiao Zhixia's train door was closed. "It was not an accident, I hacked into the surveillance footage." Passengers screamed and ran away, and she was the shadows stretched like rubber, and the runes flashed and engulfed them. The first round of souls turned into figures on the car windows, and the third round, everyone was stunned. "Brother Han, why did you tell us to rush in? Waiting for death." Han Xiaofan stared at him. His soul was half awakened, and Fuman recognized him as his first choice. The rails trembled, the walls of the maze were squeezed in, the runes were filled with blood, and the roof of the SUV creaked and deformed under the pressure. The putrid stench was as thick as solid soup, pouring in through the vents, choking the three of them and coughing up blood. The group of resentful spirits clung to the car, slapping the window with their withered hands like a rainstorm, and murmuring, "Reincarnation, join." Jiang Qin collapsed, smashed the window and shouted, "Get away. You rotten ghosts. I'm not going to play anymore." A ghost driver took advantage of the opportunity, pierced the car door with a sickle, hooked Jiang Chen's arm, the skin tore, black blood spurted out like ink, runes took root around the wound, and pulses crawled up his elbow. "Ah! Burn! My hand is rotten." Jiang Chen threw his arm, black blood splashed on Mo Fan's face, it was as cold as sulfuric acid. Desperation overwhelmed, the SUV was half destroyed, the engine spewed black smoke, the railroad tracks automatically closed to block the back road, the phantom of the train door in front was enlarged, hundreds of Qiao Zhixia's figures were cascading, and the screams pierced the brain. Han Xiao's talisman paper was ignited, and the phosphorus fire tested the track ditch, but a sudden change occurred, the pulsation of the talisman gate accelerated, the maze roared, a group of phantom cars appeared from the wall, dozens of old-fashioned cars approached without lights, the lights of the cars were locked like ghost eyes and blood red, and they were filled with resentful spirits roaring and crashing. The third wave. The convoy captures souls. Han Xiao roared, his voice trembling for the first time, "To crack it, we need to reverse the rune cycle and start the blood sacrifice point from the central rail, but we are stuck in the quagmire." Mo Fan's head was buzzing, Qiao Zhixia's cry for help echoed, the rotten smell choked him, and his eyes were as red as an animal. He pushed Jiang Qin fiercely, "Hold it. Chenzi, your black blood is the key." Ignoring Han Zhao's obstruction, he kicked the car door open, held the crowbar as tightly as his lifeblood, and jumped out of the SUV. The resentful spirit hit his face, and the sickle wind scratched his face. He dodged sideways, and hit the engineer's ghost hammer with the head of the stick. When the sparks exploded, the ghost's body shattered into black mist, and the scream was deafening, "It's impossible, a living person can resist the talisman." Jiang Qin stared, looking out of the car window, with a nosebleed on his face. "Fan. Brother Fan. Are you crazy? Against the army alone? Come back." Han Zhao's pupils shrank into needles, he is half awake, and the talisman gate is afraid, but he can't last 10 seconds. Mo Fan ignored it and stepped on the twisted railway track. The runes burned the soles of his feet like charcoal fire. Every step made the sound of bones breaking. He roared, "Zhixia, wait for me." The stick swept away the driver's ghostly figure, the sickle broke and whirled, the ghost's head exploded into phosphorescence, and the putrid odor came back to bite his nose. He vomited black blood without stopping, and rushed towards the ghost car leading the group of cars. The car lights flickered, and the soul-locking beam came. Time was frozen for a moment, his heartbeat stopped, and the black edges of his vision spread. Jiang Chen screamed, "Brother Fan is frozen." The second hand pulls his soul. Han Xiao threw the talisman paper, and the phosphorus fire blocked the beam. Mo Fan. Reverse the cycle. The left-hand rune draws the right-hand track. The desperate situation was overwhelming. Mo Fan felt his soul peeling off, and the railway track was like a giant python wrapped around his legs, but Qiao Zhixia's phantom flashed in front of her, and she stretched out her hand, the talisman, inverse. He exploded, touching the shattered screen cell phone with his left hand, the blood-red rune reflected in his palm, and swung the iron crowbar, the talisman's light reversed, from pulsing to countercurrent, there was a loud bang, and the maze trembled. The head of the stick pierced the front of the ghost car, the reverse talisman exploded, and the car body disintegrated into smoke and dust. In a chain reaction, the lights of the convoy went out, dozens of cars collided and twisted, the army of ghosts wailed and retreated, and the black mist rolled back like a tide. Boom! The environment was destroyed like a nuclear explosion, the rails broke and spewed fire, the edge of the talisman gate collapsed, the cracks were torn open in the eternal night, and the phosphorescence leaked out. Mo Fan stepped on the accelerator and the SUV rushed in like an arrow, sparks and iron filings flying everywhere. The talisman gates suddenly closed, and the world fell into eternal night. Mo Fan gasped and propped himself on the ground. His face was covered with blood and sweat, and the talisman on his feet was burned into bubbles. But he sneered and his voice was like a hammer, "It's not over yet. Zhixia is inside." In the center of the track ahead, the blood sacrifice lit up, and the train doors suddenly opened. Qiao Zhixia's true shadow flashed, but was blocked by the talisman. Chains were locked around his neck, and he murmured, "Mo Fan, hurry up." But the mutation happened again, black blood spread on Jiang Chen's arms, and runes crawled on his shoulders. His eyes were blurred, and he murmured, "Zhixia, she is calling me, to save." The phantom appeared, and Qiao Zhixia stretched out her hand, but it was a black mist claw. Han Xiao growled, "The wound is contagious." The aftermath of the second stage is reincarnation. Deep in the abandoned station, her soul is imprisoned. We have to rush. The walls of the maze were squeezed, and the remains of the convoy were burning with phosphorus fire to illuminate the road. The whisper became weaker but more sinister, "Return, to replenish the army." Mo Fan grabbed Jiang Chen and hit his wound with a stick, black blood spattered on the ground and turned into smoke. "Wake up. Chenzi, follow me." Jiang Chen shook his head and worshipped like a god, "Brother Fan, you are so steady. I just said if you take action, everything will turn upside down." "Brother Han, is this the special prey you are talking about?" Han Xiao nodded and picked up the ancient book to catch up. "Not only. The Fuman recognizes the master, he can end it." The three of them rushed forward, the rails reorganized, and the ghost army secretly reunited, but they did not dare to get close to Mo Fan. The stench of victory was mixed with the iron smell of victory. Mo Fan locked eyes with the blood sacrifice point, and Qiao Zhixia's cry for help echoed in his heart. Jiang Chen's mouth opened in an O shape, but the black blood wound stopped. He climbed out of the car, his legs shaking like sieves. "Fan, Brother Fan. Are you a fucking god? Destroy the convoy with one stick. Am I blind?" Those ghosts howled like slaughtered pigs, retreated. "Retreat." Han Xiao stood up, the ancient book fell to the ground, and his eyes from shock to enthusiasm, he sniffed the residual mist with his nose. reverse talisman cycle. You are self-taught. Ordinary people's souls are shattered when they touch the talisman, but you are counterattacking. Half-awakened soul. No, you are the cracker. The remnants of nearby resentful spirits ran away, screaming with fear, living king. Samsara break. The sound of the rails clicking and reorganizing was like thousands of broken bones crawling underground, the blood-red runes pulsed faster, and thin threads of black mist were sprayed out like live insects burrowing into the nasal cavity. The smell of putrid iron and rust was as strong as a hammer hitting the lungs, and black phlegm was coughed up with every breath. Black blood spread on Jiang Chen's arms, runes climbed up his shoulders like vines, and blisters bulged on his skin, bursting with ink. His legs gave way and he knelt down, his eyes bloodshot and turned white. Fan, brother Fan, it's eating my heart. Zhixia's voice, she calling under the railway track, saying it would be great to join. The voice was intermittent like a bellows leaking air, nails dug into the flesh, carving out bone grooves, black blood dripped down the arm, small runes appeared on the ground with each drop, squirming and whispering, return, replenish the army. Han Xiao's face turned pale. He held the ancient book under his arm and struggled with the embers of the talisman on his fingertips. He grabbed Jiang Chen's collar and dragged him up. His voice was as low as a ghost whisper, the aftermath of the second stage. The black blood is contagious and pulls the soul into reincarnation. The crack in the talisman gate of the abandoned station is in front, rush out. Mo Fan, you go against the stick and open the way. But the remaining walls of the maze were squeezed hard, the rails were twisted into a meat grinder, and the ghost car reappeared from the smoke and dust, and more than a dozen old-fashioned cars sliding out silently, the ghostly eyes of the car lights flashed red, locking on the three of them. The figures on the window of the resentful spirit all opened their mouths to spit out mist, and screamed through their brains, reincarnation, eternal reincarnation. The phantom of the train door flashed at the blood sacrifice point in front, Qiao Zhixia's real shadow struggled, the talisman chain strangled her neck and stretched into rubber, she silently mouthed, reverse, fast. The eternal night roared closer from behind, the phosphorus fire was extinguished, and the second hand froze and reversed, clicking like a swarm of insects gnawing at the heart. It's over. The crack is sealed. We've become bait. Jiang Chen collapsed and howled, smashing his knees against the rails, and runes crawled up his legs. The burning pain was like sulfuric acid. He scratched Mo Fan's trousers, nosebleeds mixed with black mist spraying on his face. Brother Fan, a god. Just destroyed the convoy, so awesome, what about now? My arms are smashed into mud, Zhixia pulls me over, it hurts to death. Han Xiao threw the last phosphorus fire, blocking the light of a ghost car, but the backlash burned the back of his hands and blistered, and he gritted his teeth. Mo Fan, can't hold on. The third phase of the Soul Army is activated, the talisman recognizes you, but we are dragging you down. The shadow of the ghost army emerged, the ghost engineer dragged the hammer and approached, the driver's ghost sickle stretched out and scratched the ground, the rotten odor flooded the ankles, the three of them were back to back, despair tightened like an iron net, the heartbeat synchronized with the second hand, and the souls were peeled off one layer at a time. Blood and sweat mixed with black mist on Mo Fan's forehead, he clenched the iron crowbar tightly, his knuckles turned white, the talismans on the soles of his feet burst, and every step was as sticky as stepping on corpse mud. The cracks in his eye locks, the neon light from the outside world seeping into it like the light of redemption, growled, shut up. Tetsuko, grab my shoulder. Brother Han, hide the ancient books. Ignoring Jiang Chen's pleas, he hit the ground with a stick, the reverse talisman light exploded, the rails broke with a loud click, the cracks in the maze wall expanded, and the black mist rolled back. The ghost car took the lead and rushed forward. The ghost eyes of the car lights shot out soul beams. He dodged sideways, and the head of the stick pierced the front of the car. The reverse talisman pulsed in the opposite direction. The car body disintegrated into smoke, and the chain collapsed. 5 or 6 cars collided and twisted. The resentful spirit wailed and retreated, broken. King. Jiang Chen glared and got up from the ground. The black blood wound froze for a moment, and his voice trembled as if he had seen a miracle. Fan, brother Fan. You smashed them with one stick again. I thought my soul flew away just now. Your eyes were as red as a ghost. King. The stick light reversed, and the convoy roared back thousands of miles. My legs are not weak anymore. Rush. Han Xiao's pupils shrank, and the ancient sheepskin talisman danced on his face. He smelled the irony-mixed rotten stench of victory with his nostrils, and his enthusiasm surged. The counter-circulation is expanding. Your backlash is not only the formation eyes, but also the whole maze is afraid. Ordinary people's souls will be shattered when they touch the stick, but you control it. The three of them rushed forward. Mo Fan's stick swept left and right, the engineer's ghost hammer flew away, and the driver's ghost scythe turned into black mist. With each strike, sparks exploded and shook the ears. The cracks in the talisman door were torn open, and the cold wind from the outside filled in with neon fragments. Jiang Chen gritted his teeth and endured the pain. The runes stopped on his shoulders. He grabbed Mo Fan's back and shouted in admiration, Brother Han, look at Brother Fan. One man can carry an army with a stick like the King of Hell's scythe. We will win if we follow him. I was just a dog in despair, now it's so exciting. The resentful spirit ran away, the whispers turned into screams of fear, the railway track collapsed and sprayed phosphorus fire to illuminate the road. The three of them jumped out of the crack, the rune gate roared and then closed, separated by the eternal night. Outside, on the highway late at night, the second hand of the 12 o'clock clock tower is frozen, the neon lights are twisting and flashing ancient runes, and the air is fresh but has a rusty aftertaste. Mo Fan rested his knees on his stick and panted, his face was as bloody as a war ghost, his phone fell to the ground with a broken screen, and the blood-red runes were pulsing weakly. Jiang Chen sat paralyzed on the side of the road, black blood dripping down his arms, and every drop fell to the ground and a small sign whispered, his face twisted and howled in pain, fuck. It's still burning. Brother Fan, your magic skill destroyed the maze and saved my dog's life, but this injury. Zhixia Phantom is still holding me back. Han Xiao glanced around, threw his briefcase over his shoulder, Aish and Taiching turned decisively, my studio is within 3 kilometers. If the water can slow down, drive. He picked up an abandoned motorcycle from the roadside. The engine roared and started, smelling of rust. The three of them piled on and drove to the edge of the city. The phantom car chased after it, and the ghost roar of the engine loomed. The studio is hidden deep in an old warehouse. The iron door is rusty and the phosphorescence leaks slightly from the cracks in the door. Han Xiao entered the talisman lock and opened it with a click. The lights inside were dim, the walls were covered with ancient books and parchments, the talisman papers were stacked like mountains, the air was rotten and mixed with herbs, the iron table in the center was scattered with old newspapers, and the edges were stained with blood. Jiang Chen stumbled into the door and fell on the chair. The black blood on his arms corroded half of his body. The runes crawled on his collarbone and the skin was bubbling with ink. He howled and rolled his eyes, Brother Han. Hurry. It's chewing my bone marrow. Zhixia said, the rails will always be comfortable. Han Xiao tossed his briefcase and grabbed the pottery pot of talisman water. The yellow liquid was phosphorescent and splashed on Jiang Chen's wound. There was a sizzling and burning sound. The black blood evaporated into smoke and the runes were reversed. Shrinking, the pain made Jiang Chen arch his body like a shrimp, ah. Burned to death. But, stop it. Brother Han, is this water of yours an elixir? Han Xiao wiped away sweat, and his face showed the cracks of fatigue for the first time, delay. The aftermath of the second stage, and the whole army in the third stage, must be cured. The abandoned station is the core forbidden area, the source of the talisman gate, and the ghost army inside is not the convoy, but the body of the railway ghost. Mo Fan leaned against the wall, stuck the stick into the ground, and the afterglow of the counter-talisman light pulsated. He sniffed the herbs to suppress the rotten smell, and scanned the room with cold eyes. Speak clearly. Zhixia is at the blood sacrifice site. How to save her? Han Xiao turned over the old newspaper. The yellowed paper made a scratching sound, and the headline was dazzling. A century-old railway disaster. The engineer committed suicide and carved a talisman to pursue the driver's soul forever. He pointed to the runes on the edge of the blood stain and whispered, in 1924, when the railway was being expanded, the engineers made a blood sacrifice and engraved the formation, vowing, the driver killed us, and we will always chase the road and rails to reincarnate the army. The accident was not an accident. The runes summoned phantom cars to capture the souls. The first stage of signs, the second army, and the third army engulfed the city. Their faces were hollow, inhuman, they were aggregation of souls. Qiao Zhixia's train gate, not coincidentally, her soul was pulled into the blood sacrifice point and used as a sacrifice. Jiang Chen wrapped the wound in gauze, and the black blood dried up. He stared at the newspaper, his voice trembled and became enthusiastic. Brother Han, this circle is deep. Brother Fan, listen, we have broken through the second stage of the century-old ghost sect, but the army. I am afraid, but I am not afraid of Brother Fan. Mo Fan nodded, closed his eyes and leaned against the wall. Fatigue came over him, his mind was buzzing, and he fell into a dream, the eternal night railway track in an abandoned station, Qiao Zhixia's real body struggling, the talisman chain neck stretching her limbs, her face twisted, and her mouth spit out black mist. Mo Fan, Fu Ni, the heart of the railway track, smashed. The army of resentful spirits surrounded, the engineer's ghost hammer smashed into the ground and pulsated, the driver's ghost sickle seduced the soul, and the central talisman array at the blood sacrifice point beat like a heart, swallowing the shadows of passengers. Zhixia stretched out his hand, tears mixed with black blood in his eyes. Quickly, locate. After waking up from the dream, Mo Fan suddenly sat up, cold sweat soaked his back, his broken screen phone buzzed, and the location was locked. The coordinates of the abandoned station flashed blood red, and the runes were superimposed. Intrusion, end. He growled, letter from Zhixia. The forbidden area of the station, go now. Jiang Chen bounced up, his wounds were pale, and his eyes were as bright as a wolf. Fan brother. The oracle in the dream. My arm is stabbed. I thought I had turned into a ghost. Come on, smash the century-old oath. Han Xiao collected the newspaper and stuffed his bag with ancient books. His eyes changed from shock to admiration. The studio has all the clues. There is a secret investigation network, but Fu Men thinks you are the Terminator. The three of them got dressed, opened the iron door, and felt the rusty night breeze blowing against their faces. But a strange change suddenly occurred. The ghost car engine roared from the road outside. The low roar was like an approaching hell train. The shadow of an old car without lights appeared. The car lights and ghost eyes were blood red and the door was locked. The door lock clicked and the talisman light flashed automatically, and the blood-red pulse whispered, return, the studio reincarnation. Jiang Chen stepped back, his legs went weak for a moment, and he grabbed Mo Fan's arm. Brother Fan. It's coming. The door lock is alive, like a maze. Han Xiao's face was ashen, and the talisman paper slammed the door, the third phase of the outpost. The army is locked in position, the station is abandoned. The summons spreads. Mo Fan sneered and pulled out the stick. The light of the stick turned around and shone on the ghost car. The figure on the window of the wraith spirit shrieked and cowered. He stepped out and said, smash them. Zhixia and others. The stick smashed the door lock, and the door lock shattered and phosphorus fire spurted out. The ghost car blinked and retreated, but the engine roared even more wildly, and the edge of the eternal night roared closer. The cracks in the rear Fumen gate widened, and neon lights loomed outside, but the second hand and the entire car froze to death, and there were countless afterimages of ghost cars, waiting for an opportunity to counterattack. Jiang Chen's black blood dripped down his arm, and each drop produced small runes on the ground, whispering in his ears, "Join, she is waiting for you." He gritted his teeth and stared at Mo Fan's back. "Brother Fan, lead the way. I believe in you, smash this damn place." Han Xiao whispered, "The climax has just begun." The third stage, the whole army of souls. After the wreckage of the SUV, the phosphorus fire was extinguished, and the roar in the depths of the eternal night was approaching. The roar of the locomotive engine is like the beating heart of a beast, tearing through the fog on the late-night road, the tires rattling over the gravel, and every stone bounced echoes like a whisper of runes. The fog was as thick as a living thing. The gray and white threads penetrated the nose, mixed with rust and putrid smell. It choked Jiang Chen and coughed up black phlegm. He scratched Mo Fan's waist and his voice trembled like a candle in the wind. "Brother Fan, this fog. It's not natural, it's ghost breath." Just now the lock on the studio door broke, it was so refreshing. "What now? I can't open my eyes," Zhixia's cry echoed in my head again, pulling me under the railroad tracks. Han Xiao leaned over the back seat of the motorcycle, burying his face in his collar to filter the fog. His nose twitched to smell the rotting iron, and his livid face cracked for the first time. The fog is spreading on the road signs are activated, and the ghost car is approaching after 5 kilometers. "Mo Fan, are you positioning it correctly? If we break into the forbidden area, our souls will disappear forever." Mo Fan's eyes locked on the outline of the black figure in front of him. The abandoned station was like a giant beast dormant. The blood-red coordinates of his broken screen cell phone reflected the blood on his face. He roared over the engine, accurate. The heart of Zhixia Xian's railway track hit the formation's eye. The stick was lying across his knees, with the reverse talisman. The weak light reversed the fog, and the fog around the car receded slightly, but the afterimages of the ghost car reunited behind. The old car without lights appeared, the ghost eyes of the car lights were red and blinked the tail lock, and the figures on the window of the wraith spewed black mist, screaming through the fog, replenishing army. Driver's soul. Jiang Chen turned his head, his face was as white as paper, and the motorcycle between his legs was shaking like chaff. "Fuck. They're here again. Brother Fan, the chain collapsed last time, but how many of them are in the fog? It's like a rune is crawling on my collarbone." "Brother Han, are there any more talismans?" Han Xiao threw out a piece of talisman paper, and the yellow light arced and burned in the fog. The lights of the ghost cars flashed out, and he gasped, "The last 3. Save it, the source of the station talisman gate is not a pawn." The road sign twisted and emerged. The first iron sign was bent like a ghost's claw. The blood-red runes on the surface pulsated and squirmed, whispering, "Return, the rails will always return." The fog silk crawled on the motorcycle tires, sticky and brushed. Jiang Chen's eyes widened, nosebleeds oozing from his nose. He grabbed the edge of the road sign and wanted to tear it off, but it was too hot and he retracted. "This sign. It's alive. It says, abandoned station 0 kilometers, but it's bent in a circle, like a reincarnation trap. Brother Fan, are we really breaking through? The second stage of the puzzle, the palace, is in danger, the whole army in the third stage. Zhixia sacrifices to stabilize the formation, the 3 of U.S. bodies. Mo Fan remained silent, the stick tip clicked on the street sign, the counter-talisman light exploded, the iron sign snapped and broke, the runes shrank into smoke, and the mist rolled back to clear a path. Han Xiao's pupils shrank into needles, sniffing the irony smell of phosphorus fire, victory over the putrid smell, and his voice trembled wildly. "Reverse control is expanded. The street signs regard the stick as the king, ordinary talisman paper will break when touched, but you." Jiang Chen turned from howling in fear to roaring in admiration, and patted Mo Fan on the shoulder. "Brother Fan, the god. The sign scared me to piss. One stick will destroy the talisman, and the fog will recede. I will follow you, go into the depths and smash the heart." The locomotive crashed into the ruins of the station, its tires stuck in the grooves of the rusty rails, and there was a loud clicking sound like broken bones reassembling. The mist condensed into phosphorus fire and floated in the blue, illuminating the rusty rails with summoning arrays carved on them. Han Xiao jumped off the motorcycle, threw his briefcase over his shoulder, and opened the sheepskin of the ancient book to reflect the phosphorescent light. He pointed at the rail array and whispered above the whistle, "The core forbidden area. The blood sacrifice of 1924 is fully engraved. The engineer swears that the rails will be the carrier and summons the body of the resentful spirit. Mo Fan, stick in front of the array and explore first." Waiting room, Zhixia's clues. Jiang Chen's legs were weak and he knelt on the rails. The black blood wound glyphs moved slightly. He smelled the smell of rust and rot, and his eyes turned white with blood. I heard Zhixia cry. "Brother Han, where are the three of us, looking for death?" Mo Fan propped himself up on the ground, and the pulsation of the counter-talisman light track array slowed down for a moment. He glanced at the remaining walls of the platform with cold eyes, and thin threads of black mist crawled out from the cracks in the broken bricks. He growled, "Split up. Brother Chenzi Han, waiting room. I'm on the track." Ignoring Jiang Chen's pleas, the three of them sneaked in, their footsteps shattered on the glass, and the smell of putrid rust flooded their ankles like a tide. Every breath they took in burned their lungs like fire. The door frame of the old waiting room is twisted, the iron door is half closed and creaks like a ghost, the interior is dark, the wallpaper peels off to reveal blood-stained runes, the benches are rotten and tilted, the air is hot and stuffy with the smell of mold and rotting corpses, the moonlight shines slantly through the broken window, reflecting a pool of black dried blood on the central floor. Han Xiao lit the phosphorus fire talisman, and the yellow light flickered on the wooden cabinet in the corner. He opened the yellowed passenger register, and the parchment pages rustled, pointing to the blood stains. The souls of the passengers are all pulled in. The Zhixia train door is not an illusion, it is the talisman that locks it in place. Jiang Chen he picked up a women's bracelet. The silver chain was broken and the word Zhixia was engraved on it. His hands were shaking like epilepsy and his nose was bleeding. Brother Fan. Zhixia. She has really been here. This room is full of resentment and whistles like a train hitting a wall. Mo Fan remained silent and swept the wooden cabinet with a stick. There was a loud bang and broken wood flew. The black mist exploded with the reverse talisman light. The mobile phone left by Qiao Zhixia rolled out from the bottom of the cabinet. The screen shattered and pulsed blood red. The scene of the car door closing was automatically played in a loop. Zhixia's real body and face were twisted and struggling, the talisman chain strangled her neck and stretched into rubber, and her mouth was silently reverse. Heart. The car door slammed across the road, and the black mist swallowed the shadows, and the cycle was endless, accompanied by whispers of sacrifice, stand the formation. Jiang Chen rushed forward, grabbing the phone and staring at the screen, his voice was like a bellows, "Zhixia." She cried out to Brother Fan. The moment the door closed, I was heartbroken. The talisman circulates, and there will never be hope. Han Xiao's face turned pale, the ancient book was under his arm, and the talisman paper embers were struggling with his fingertips. He smelled blood and putrefaction on his nose, and lowered his voice to the ghost. The position is consistent with the dream letter. But the third stage starts, be careful. Before he finished speaking, Jiang Chen collapsed. He stretched out his hand to detect the talisman on the railway track, and the black blood runes on the wound suddenly lit up and resonated. The summoning array on the rail pulsed wildly, and the blood-red light threads crawled along his legs. The burning pain was like boiling bones with sulfuric acid. He howled and arched his body, "Ah! Brother Fan, save!" The talisman resonated, and it pulled me to replenish the army. Zhixia's voice, comfortable, join. The cracks in the rails exploded, and little ghosts jumped out. The ferocious children had hollow faces, black holes in their eye sockets dripping with ink, and their claws stretched out to scrape sparks from the ground. They screamed and pierced their brains, "Little souls, mend. 5 or 6 of them pounced on Jiang Chen, their claws and hooks spurted black blood, and the room was flooded with rotten stench. Han Xiao threw the talisman paper, yellow light exploded and burned, and the 3 child ghosts wailed and turned into smoke, but the back of his hand was blistered and he gritted his teeth in pain, infectious resonance. Xiaojun outpost, Mo Fan. Jiang Chen rolled to the ground, the leg talisman crawled to his knees and blistered with ink, his eyes turned white and he grabbed Mo Fan's pants. Brother Fan. It hurts. Damn it. I just found my mobile phone and now the little ghost is chewing on me. It's a ghost. Our team is broken up. Despair tightened like an iron net, the whistles and hallucinations turned to roars, the platform was extinguished, and eternal night fell indoors. The shadows of the little ghost army swarmed into the cracks of the wall, and their claws scraped and peeled off the wall. Mo Fan's forehead was filled with blood and sweat, his knuckles turned white while he was holding the stick. He locked eyes with Jiang Chen and growled, "Hold on tight." He struck the resonance point of the rail with a stick, and the counter-talisman light exploded like the sun's reversal. The rails snapped and broke, and the summoning array pulsated countercurrent, black and red light. The threads rolled back and evaporated, and the leader of the little ghosts flew away with his claws broken, wailing and retreating, "King. Ni." The chain collapsed, more than a dozen of them hit the wall and burst into smoke, the whispers of the runes turned into screams of fear, the phosphorus fire in the room was rekindled, and the pulsation in the outer orbit slowed down. Jiang Chen got up from the ground, his black blood wound talisman shrunk and stopped at his knees. He widened his eyes, sniffing the phosphorus fire and iron smell of victory, and his voice trembled in admiration, "Brother Fan. You have another magical skill." The brat pounced on his face and thought it was over. He smashed the rails with a stick and shot up to the sky against the light. They howled and retreated thousands of miles away. "I don't have itchy legs. It's up to you." The blood on the back of Han Xiao's hand was pulsing, and his face was filled with excitement. He wiped his sweat and stared at Mo Fan, the half-awakened king. "It's not destroying, it's controlling. Ordinary people will lose their souls if they touch it. You know Xia Xian is right, deep in the tunnel." The 3 of them gasped and leaned against the wall, and started playing games interactively. Jiang Chen wrapped his knees in gauze and stared at Mo Fan like a wolf. "Brother Fan, seriously, how do you control the reverse talisman? The 2 of us are useless, Brother Han's talisman paper is burned out, I am injured, and you are invincible with 1 stick. But there is an army in the depths, and the railway track's heart is really broken. Zhixia and others, rush." Han Xiao put away his mobile phone, turned the page of the ancient book, and the sheepskin blood sign jumped, "If you don't rush, you will be reincarnated." Hidden Investigation Network Wire, 1924. The engineer leader is hiding in the tunnel, and the army of 6 souls protects the heart. It is not a convoy, but a body aggregation, swallowing the city level. But Mo Fan, you dream Lien Zhixia, whose sect recognizes the Terminator, you take it. Mo Fan sneered, his stick pulsed like a second heart, and he sniffed the smell of the herbs. "Game. Qinzi will bear the pain, I will hit the heart to save Zhixia." Jiang Chen raised his objection. Worshipped and roared, "None. The combination of gods, Brother Fan dominates." Han Xiao nodded, with a determined look, "Oath of alliance. The entrance of the tunnel is in front, but foreshadowing. According to the internet, in the 3rd phase, the whole army has gatekeeper beasts, non-spirits, railway aggregation aliens, sniffing counter-stick positioning." As soon as he finished speaking, Qiao Zhixia's cry came from the deep tunnel, the heart-piercing cry, "Mo Fan, heart, hit, fast." Accompanied by the sound of countless footsteps approaching, the clattering sound was like thousands of broken bones crawling, the rails pulsed wildly, putrid iron rust surged like a tsunami, the phosphorus fire swayed and reflected the dark shadow of the tunnel, the engineer's ghost hammer dragged the ground with sparks, the driver's ghost scythe hooked the air and screamed, the footsteps of the ghost spirit army marched in unison, and the eternal night roared and swallowed the edge of the platform. Jiang Chen's legs went weak for a moment, and he grabbed Mo Fan's arm. The cry is real. The footsteps, the army is coming. The foreshadowing beast. Han Xiao's face turned pale, and he clenched the last talisman. All the troops are on. Guard the gate, aliens ahead, charge into the tunnel. Mo Fan raised his stick, facing the backlight, calmly compared to the ferocity of the ghost army. Let's go. Smash them. The footsteps were approaching, and he cried and whispered, the end, intrusion. The abyss opened its mouth in the third stage of reincarnation. The mouth of the tunnel is like the bloody mouth of a giant beast. The cold, damp and rusty gas blows into your face, mixed with the sweet smell of rotten minced meat, and penetrates into your nose and burns your lungs. The sound of footsteps clicked like thousands of ants approaching, the phosphorus fire flickered and reflected the cracks in the wall, and the black shadows squirmed like living intestines crawling. Mo Fan thrust his stick forward, and the counter-rune light pulsed like the beating of a heart, illuminating the entrance and twisting the rails into a circle. The runes whispered, intrusion, end. Buzzing in the brain, and each word was like a needle pricking the nerves. The gauze on Jiang Chen's legs and knees was soaked with black blood and was sticky and stringy. He grabbed Mo Fan's arms and his voice shook like a leaf in the wind. Brother Fan, the footsteps are approaching. The cry is so loud that it's like an iron hook scratching the heart. The three of us are fleshly bodies and rushing deep to seek death. We just felt so good in the room. With one stick, the army of imps was wiped out and retreated thousands of miles. Now the tunnel is forever dark. Han Xiao pinched the last talisman. The palms of his palms were turning yellow, and the back of his hands was filled with bloodshot wounds and scabs. His nostrils twitched and sniffed the phosphorus and sulfur in the depths of the tunnel, and his livid face loomed with enthusiasm. The gatekeeper alien is ahead. But Mo Fan's stick King Vein and the orbital formation have been recognized. Repair the entrance, take stock, and break through. According to the secret network, the tunnel is divided into 3 layers: Phantom Reenactment, Scythe Soul Convergence, and Heart Altar. Mo Fan nodded. The stick broke the rail and blocked the entrance, a yellow halo barrier exploded against the light, the black shadow's footsteps stagnated, and the scream turned away from Kasha. The 3 of them squeezed into the side recess of the tunnel, leaning against the slippery wall, their chests heaving and panting. The air was as stuffy and hot as a corpse cave, and every breath of iron rust penetrated the back of the tongue and was bitter. Jiang Chen collapsed first, tearing off the gauze on his knee, and the black blood bubbled to a stop, and the runes shrank into ashes. He glared at the injured knee, his bloodshot eyes turned white and stared at Mo Fan. His voice changed from a howl of despair to a roar of admiration. Brother Fan. My knee is itching like thousands of ants gnawing at it, and the little ghost that pulls the soul from the orbit resonates and pounces on my face. I thought the team was gone. You. The stick shot up to the sky, the ghost howling king retreated. What a magical skill. I just picked up the Zhixia bracelet and my heart broke into pieces. Now my legs don't hurt anymore. Let's take stock and hit the heart in the depths to save the sisters. He shook his hand and the silver chain clinked, his nose smelled of the phosphorus fire and the rotten odor, and his wolf eyes lit up as if he was seeing a savior. Han Xiao's briefcase fell to the ground. The sheepskin of the ancient book was open to reflect the backlight, and the blood-stained runes jumped on the location page. He pointed to a fragment of an iron plate cracked in the tunnel wall, which was engraved with the 1924 engineer's oath that, the rails will always carry the soul. The whisper echoed like a ghost wind, great harvest. Passengers with roster certificates are all pulled. Zhixia's true body sacrifice stabilizes the formation, and the mobile phone cycle talisman lock reverse heart is accurate. Mo Fan, you can't destroy the formation with your stick, you are the king of control. The little devil took the lead and shouted, Wang Ni, and the rail pulse recognized the second heart. Improvement. The ancient book's hidden talisman, the enemy can use the army to counterattack the source. But in the third stage, the gatekeeper beast railway gathers aliens and is not spiritual. The blood scab on the back of his hand cracks, and he grits his teeth and throws out the remaining talisman water. The yellow liquid phosphorescence splashes on Jiang Chen's knees, and the black blood evaporates and shrinks into scars. Jiang Chen straightened his legs, jumped up and slapped his knees to test his strength, his eyes widened to stop the nosebleeds, and he roared with enthusiasm, "Brother Han is awesome. The magic medicine of talisman, I am reborn. Brother Fan is the master, Brother Han is the assistant, I am the human shield." After taking stock, Zhixia is crying, "Listen." Deep in the tunnel, Qiao Zhixia's true voice pierced the sultry heat, "Mo Fan, smash, quickly." Sparks clicked as the hammer dragged the ground, and the air buzzed with the sickle of resentment. Mo Fan calmly wiped the blood from the stick. The iron crow was pulsing as hot as a living thing. He sniffed the residual rime of the medicinal herbs to suppress the smell of iron. The blood-red coordinates of the shattered mobile phone pulsated to reflect the clear outline of his face. Take stock. The stick controls the orbit array, the mobile phone locates the heart, and Ji Xiaxin leads the way. Qinzi's legs are stable. Han, brother, please use the backlight to gain strength by smashing the door. He tapped the tip of the stick lightly on the wall and climbed into the tunnel along the crack. The pulse in the distance calmed down for a moment, and the fear in his voice weakened. King, control. Jiang Chen's pupils shrank and his legs stopped shaking. He grabbed Mo Fan by the shoulder, his voice trembled as if he had seen a miracle. Brother Fan. Tap the wall lightly, the track in the deep part is slowing down. The ghost army's footsteps are far away, scare them to pee. I'm determined to follow, I just thought that the team with the knee is weak, now the stick is king in the world, it's so exciting. Brother Han, look, the sheepskin talisman jumps with the stick, pulse. The pages of Han Xiao's ancient book turned automatically, and the blood talisman pulsed in sync with the light of the stick. His face turned green for the first time, and his eyes were locked with fervor. The Soul King has awakened, the 1924 oath is reversed, it is not a permanent one, it is a controllable vehicle. Calm as a breath before the storm, the three of them got ready. Jiang Chen wrapped his knees in new gauze and picked up scraps of iron plates to use as shields. Han Xiao stuffed his briefcase with ancient books, and the yellow talisman in his palm gathered momentum. Mo Fan raised his stick, illuminating the road ahead. The tunnel is as dark as ink pouring, and the walls are wet and dripping with water. Each drop is like a drop of blood rolling to the ground. The smell of rust and putrefaction is getting thicker, and the lungs are like fire. My footsteps clicked hard on the track groove, and I walked 100 meters forward. The second hand froze and my ears clicked, and my heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, a blood-red light appeared on the wall, and the phantom reappeared, the ghost of the 1924 railway worker, reenacting the accident with bloody flesh and blood. The walls peeled off like skin and flesh was torn open, the ghosts of workers broke off their legs with hooks and spurted black blood, the hammers hit the rails and sparks flew, and the screams of "Oath, forever!" pulled the living people. Jiang Chen was the first to take the responsibility. The ghost claws stretched out from the wall and hooked his arms. The flesh was torn and black blood spurted out. The rotten minced meat hit his nostrils. He howled and arched his body, "Fuck." The worker ghost reappeared, dragging me to replenish the army. The flesh and blood are sticky on the hands, and the itching penetrates the bones. Brother Fan, Brother Han, the wall is alive, pull it all. Han Xiao threw the talisman, and the yellow light exploded and flew away, but the bubbles on the back of his hand came back, and he shouted in pain, "Phantom talisman light. Pull the soul again, not the real body, destroy the main talisman." Mo Fan's stick swept across the wall talisman, and exploded into the sky against the light. The ghosts of workers collided with each other and howled into smoke, causing the wall veins to stagnate. But the deep orbit exploded, and the ghost army poured out. The engineer's ghost hammer drags sparks, the driver's ghost sickle buzzes, the child's claws scratch the ground, the body of the resentful spirit gathers and the black mist billows, the ferocious face collapses and drips ink, and the thousands of footsteps click like thunder. At the end of the tunnel, the phantom car lights blinked red and locked, the ghostly roar of the engine ripped apart the eardrums, the ghostly breath of fog crawled forward along the track, and the rancid tsunami flooded the ankles. Jiang Chen's legs were weak and he knelt on the rails, his shield smashed to the ground, his eyes turned white and his nose was bleeding wildly. Army. The whole army, with its eyes staring at us, Zhixia cried and roared, "It's over. Brother Fan, last time I was so happy, this sick soul swallowed the city." Han Xiao's ancient book Leap Blood Talisman, pointing to the main talisman of the wall, making a wild reverse circle, the last piece of yellow light talisman burned out, the wall veins shrank and paused the summons, the army stagnated and screamed in fear, inverse. King. But the iron door of the exit slammed shut, the talisman lock pulsed blood red, and there was no way out forever. The desperate iron net tightened, and Mo Fan locked his eyes on an abandoned rail car on the side of the track. The rusty shell pulsated with rune light. He jumped on with a low roar and smashed the cockpit with his stick. The engine of the backlit car roared like a beast waking up, and the wheels clicked and turned to rush into the army. The headlights of the car turned against yellow and turned blood red. It knocked away more than a dozen sickle ghosts and exploded with smoke. Broken bones and black blood splashed on the wall. It screamed and wailed, "The king's car, control." Jiang Chen worshipped and shouted, "Brother Fan is a great driver. It's a waste of a car to listen to sticks. It's so exciting to hit ghosts. I'm a shield. Auxiliary." Han Xiao grabbed the edge of the car and gasped, "Control the vehicle." 1924 swears to reverse, use your strength to escape. The rail car tore through the fog, scraping the metal with the claws of the sickle, spraying the cabin with putrid blood, and the smell was like a pile of boiling corpses. The climax breaks out, and the gatekeeper alien appears. The railway combines flesh and blood and iron beasts, the track and rail merge with the body of the worker, the head has multiple sunken eyes dripping with ink, the claws, hammer and sickle are all extended, the sniffing stick is positioned to pounce on the rear of the car, and it hits the curved rail groove with a loud bang. Jiang Chen stood behind the shield, and his claws hooked the shield and spurted out black blood. He pushed Mo Fan to dodge, "Brother Fan, let's go. I'm blocking." The claws penetrated the shoulder, black blood exploded like a fountain, and the minced meat was drawn. He fell onto the track, his eyes turned white and he murmured railway secrets, "Brother Fan." 1924, the leader of engineers, is not the ghost king, but, the altar ground bottom, under the heart, source. The sound is intermittent, black blood bursts from the knee injury, runes crawl up the neck and bubbles, and the semi-ghost state changes, the skin is transparent, the eyes are black and dripping with ink, the voice is ghostly and human, the source, the underground altar of the station, the source of the blood sacrifice, smash it, otherwise, reincarnation will never happen. Jiang Chen stared at Mo Fan's back, sniffing the phosphorus fire of victory with his nostrils, and shouted in admiration, "Brother Han, look at Brother Fan. The light of the door-lock talisman is scary." He reversed the stick, and the ghost car retreated. "Our team, the combination of gods, will definitely win in the forbidden area." Han Xiao nodded, the locomotive engine roared, the three of them jumped on, and rushed towards the abandoned station. The second hand froze and clicked, the rotten stench followed the wind, the unknown army roared in the depths, and the third stage of reincarnation quietly started. Mo Fan's eyes locked on the black shadow station in the distance, Qiao Zhixia's cry for help echoed in his heart, and the iron crowbar pulsed like a second heart. The rail car engine roared like a wild beast, the wheels crunched against the twisted rail grooves, and every shock was like a hammer hitting the heart. A tsunami of rancid iron smell surged in the cabin, and sticky mist penetrated the nasal cavity along the gaps and burned the lungs. Mo Fan locked the steering wheel with iron pliers in his hands, the stick pulsed with heat waves running through his arms, and the shield pulsated against the yellow light on the roof of the cabin, barely blocking the flesh and blood bombardment from the alien claws and hammers guarding the rear gate. The alien multi-headed creature dripped ink with its eyes drooping, the track creaked with ferocious roaring, the tip of its claw hooked through the rear shell of the car and sprayed out sparks and black smoke, and the car body tilted and the rail groove curved with every blow, as if the tunnel was going to swallow them alive forever. Jiang Chen's half-ghost body was curled up on the rear seat rail, his skin was like a melting candle, his eyes were filled with black tears, his shoulders were filled with black blood, and his blood was bubbling, and his blood was crawling along the track like a living insect and flowing into his heart. His chest twitched, and ghostly whispers came out intermittently, "Brother Fan, left wall, broken, underground, altar, engineer, leader, blood sacrifice, origin." The sound was like an iron hook scraping bones, accompanied by the swelling and bursting of black blood from the knee scar, and the rotten flesh. Stunned in the cabin, his claws clawed at the rails, nails were broken and sprayed with ink, eyes were black holes staring at Mo Fan's back, trembling with admiration and despair. "God, man, listen to me, ink blood, pull, heart, quickly, break the wall, otherwise, replenish the army." Han Xiao grabbed the edge of the car, the ancient book chest-pressing sheepskin blood talisman jumped and trembled. His face was as white as paper, and the blood scabs on the back of his hands burst open and dripped with yellow pus. His nose twitched and smelled the stench of molten metal of alien flesh and blood, and he roared loudly. "Qing, Jiang Chen. Hold on. The half-ghost is aiming at the left wall of the underground passage." But the alien sniffing stick catches up and tears the cabin apart. The talismans and paper talismans are all gone, the door is sealed and there is no way, the army's footsteps are thunderous, and the fog ghost's breath floods the ankles. It's over. He glared at Feng Men, his blood-red talismans beating wildly, and whispered, "There is no way, to replenish the army." His brain was buzzing, his legs were weak, and his bloodshot eyes turned to white as he stared at Mo Fan. His voice turned from livid to trembling with fear, "Brother Fan, the Soul King, the stick-controlled chariot god, but the alien blood iron beast, gathered the source of the whole army, our body, the reincarnation, Jiang Chen's mutated soul, Zhixia crying, how to break it?" Mo Fan locked eyes with cold eyes on the cracked crack in the left wall, the head of the stick pulsed like thunder. He sniffed Jiang Chen's ink, the sweet rotten blood and the strange iron smell, the blood-red coordinates of the shattered mobile phone pulsated to reflect the heart totem on the bulkhead, Qiao Zhixia's true voice, underground, fast. Piercing roar echoed in his mind. He roared without waves, "Chunzi leads the way, Brother Han stabilizes the ancient books." The stick breaks the wall and rushes into the ground. After saying this, the stick swept across the left wall with a loud bang, and the reverse yellow light burst into the cracks like a heart being torn apart. The wall flesh was slippery and peeled off, spraying rust and blood mist. The front of the car crashed into a black hole. The air in the new passage suddenly turned rusty and bloody, like boiling in a slaughterhouse. It choked the nose and made the eye membranes burn to tears. The wheels of the railway track derailed and got stuck in the broken iron. The engine wailed and stalled. Mo Fan jumped onto the cabin and propped himself up on the ground. The backlight illuminated the underground passage, the iron bars on the wall were exposed and corroded, dripping with blood. The track grooves on the floor were twisted into pulsating soul-swallowing maws. The weak yellow swaying of phosphorus fire reflected the elongation of countless paw prints climbing up the ceiling. Alien claws chased from the tunnel into the cave entrance and bombarded them. The gravel rained down, and the black mist ghosts crawled along the passage and drowned their knees. The thunderous footsteps of the army forced the entrance of the cave to scream, "King, control, make up." Jiang Chen half dragged his body and crawled along the bloody track, and the ghost claws waved at the way forward, sacrifice, altar, in front of, trap, railway, swallow. He stared at Mo Fan with black eyes dripping with ink, admiring the ghost and roared, "Brother Fan, God broke the wall, Mo Shui listens to you, pulls the heart, but the trap, swallows it all." Han Xiao stumbled to the ground, the ancient book sheepskin automatically turned the page and the blood talisman synchronized the stick light. His palms were empty and itchy, and the 1924 runes engraved on the iron walls of his fingertips whispered, "Yongzai, revenge." The smell of blood and rust was better than the rotten smell. His face collapsed for the first time and turned white and feverish. Mo Fan's arms shook like leaves. Legend. 1924 engineer leader, killed his wife in an accident. The soul of the child was shattered, and he sacrificed blood to rune to merge the soul of the railway, and the passengers all gathered together to replenish the army, and vowed that, the rails will carry the soul forever, which is the heart of the underground altar. The iron bar was like a giant python twisting and extending its claws. Gulu swallowed several stump limbs and spurted out black blood. The tsunami channel of putrid minced meat hooked onto Jiang Chen's legs and pulled them. Jiang Chen's half-ghost body screamed and half-man howled. The ink-blood rail crawled backwards and was pierced by the rail-swallowing hook. The black hole of flesh drawing expanded. His claws smashed the rail iron and sparks flew everywhere. The black holes in his eyes turned white and ink tears burst out. He yelled in despair, "Fuck! The soul-swallowing rail. I'm ink body pulls the heart, hook waist itches and pierces the soul. Brother Fan and Han, the floor is all alive, revenge iron snake army. Finished, reincarnation to make up for the ghosts. Brother Fan saves the stick king, just breaks through the wall and rushes, now swallow my whole team." Han Xiao threw the ancient book railing talisman, and the sheepskin blood talisman leaped into flames, but the back of his hand burst into yellow pus and screamed, "The main talisman is not real iron, but it is a phantom soul eater." The entrance of the alien-shaped claws penetrated the tunnel, and there was a loud bang, smashing the walls and gravel. The flesh and iron beast's head had multiple flat eyes locked on the veins of the stick, roaring to tear off the eardrums. The army's footsteps were pressed by thunder at the entrance of the hole, and the ghostly breath of black fog crawled up the ankles and stuck to the legs, pulling out the soul. The clues of Qiao Zhixia flashed in Mo Fan's mind. She once grabbed his hand on the train, gasping and whispering, "Old rune photo, under the heart, blood activation, Mo Fan, remember." That night, the screen of the cycle lock on the phone flashed blood red, and her tears reflected the light of the rune. He calmly clicked the main talisman on the floor with his stick, crawled along the track against the light and reversed the pulsation of the iron snake. The soul-swallowing hook and claws wailed and shrank back into the black mist. The blood-red and dim cracks on the floor widened. Jiang Chen's waist hook was detached, and Mo Shui gurgled out of the rails. He climbed up with his legs trembling, staring at Mo Fan's stick light with black holes in his eyes. The ghost screamed and worshipped fervently, "Brother Fan. Lightly tap the talisman, the iron snake will scare away." The soul itching stopped. "I just thought that the waist-swallowing team was broken up, the stick king's reverse devouring magic skill. Mo Fan, follow the order and we'll save the sisters." Han Xiao turned over the page of the ancient book and stared back at the portrait of the blood talisman. His nose stopped bleeding and his face turned pale. He grabbed the iron plate fragment and pointed at it. "Brother Fan's soul has awakened. The clue to Zhixia's talisman is accurate, but the blood activation door is close. Who will offer it?" The iron door of the altar entrance appeared at the end of the passage. The blood-red runes on the door pulsated like a heartbeat, whispering, "Blood, open, forever." The smell of rust and blood was as thick as the solid sea, and the phosphorus fire reflected the dark shadows squirming in the cracks in the door. Qiao Zhixia's cry pierced, "Mo Fan, blood, smash." With the jingling of iron chains dragging the floor, the hook of the resentful spirit's sickle loomed. The alien claws are half explored into the passage, the body of the flesh and blood iron beast squeezes the cave wall and shatters into pieces, multiple heads roar and lock the three people, the tail army swallows the end of the passage with mist, thousands of footsteps are approaching, the second hand freezes, auditory hallucinations click, the heart skips a beat, and the crisis iron net tightens like a meat grinder. Jiang Chen's half-ghost Mo body leads the front, his claws pointing at the door talisman, dripping ink blood crawling on the talisman's veins. His eyes are black and dripping with tears as he stares at Mo Fan, his voice is trembling like ghosts and humans. "Brother Fan, my ink blood, donate, activate, the heart is close, but the engineer, the soul of his wife and child, the revenge beast. Han Xiao scratched his arm to block it, trembling with fear. Wang, Jiang Chen. The half-ghost blood attracts the soul army, it is not to be used, but to be supplemented. The alien is close, the army is swallowing it, who is giving the blood? Brother Fan. Mo Fan's thick veins are hot, cold eyes lock the door talisman, the frantic pulse of the mobile phone coordinates reflects the outline of Qiao Zhixia's face, he smells blood and rust and presses his throat, the head of the stick lightly scratches the palm, and the blood runs along the door veins along the stick. The blood-dropped talisman door instantly exploded with blood and red light shot up into the sky, whispering and then roaring, blood bloom, vengeance, eternal life. The engineer and the altar roared like a railway collapse and thunder, the walls shattered and rocks rained, Qiao Zhixia's figure appeared in the crack of the door bound by the talisman, her neck was covered with blood from the talisman, and her pale face was filled with tears. Mo Fan, screaming in despair, Mo Fan, he is coming. The ferocious body of the engineer gathered into the black mist and billowed, the multi-armed scythes and hammers were stretched out, countless drops of ink stared into the sunken eyes, the roar of revenge shook the tunnel and collapsed, the alien army's footsteps united and pounced, and the eternal night swallowed him like a guillotine. Jiang Chenma's eyes widened and he shouted in admiration, Brother Fan, the blood god is activated. Engineers roar, sisters are here. But the whole army of beasts is united, and I, Mo, am blocking it. Han Xiao's ancient book Flying Ash Blood Talisman finally jumped, his face collapsed with fervor and fear, the Soul King Blood Rebellion. But the Origin Beast King charges. Mo Fan raised his stick to protect against the light, and the blood gate blasted open a black hole to suck souls, and the crisis reached the bottom of the endless abyss. The iron door of the black hole exploded, blood-red talisman light burst out like a heart, a sea of rotting rust and blood surged inside the altar, sticky mist mixed with the broken souls of wives and children, screams penetrated the eardrums and peeled off souls, phosphorus fire, green and yellow swayed to reflect the huge giant in the center talisman array, the ghost body of the engineer is entrenched, an aggregation of iron and flesh more than 3 feet tall, a multi-armed sickle and hammer. Twisting and stretching like a railroad track, countless drops of ink drawing on the eyes to lock the 3 people, the rune stones in the chest, the heart beats and clicks, the second hand freezes and the auditory hallucination, every beat affects the jingling of the surrounding iron chains, Qiao Zhixia's pale body floats in the center of the formation, the talisman around her neck is bleeding and the groove is red, her eyes roll with tears and she locks Mo Fan, her pale lips tremble and she says silently, save, the resentful little ghost crawls from the cracks in the formation out, the black mist and ghost breath flooded the ankles, the alien army rushed at the entrance of the cave, the claws of flesh and blood iron beasts hammered the tunnel wall, sand and gravel rained down, the roof of the tunnel collapsed, the iron beams broke and roared, and the eternal night iron mesh meat grinder tightened and swallowed. Jiang Chen's half-ghost Mo body was the first to pounce in, and the ink-blood track crawled to the edge of the talisman array. His claws smashed into the imp, phosphorus fire and sparks flew everywhere, black holes and eyes burst out with ink tears, and black blood grunts burst out from his waist, knees, and shoulders. The ghost screamed intermittently and harshly, Brother Fan. The beast king of the altar has appeared. I am blocking the imp with my body, and I am pulling the sisters with the iron chain soul in the center of the formation. But with the scythe arms stretched out, eyes staring at the soul, the whole army will be swallowed up. He clamped his legs. Shaking the blood mist, the black hole expanded through the ink skin like molten wax. He hooked the little ghost's waist and pulled the minced meat. The smell of rancid smell filled his nostrils, but he was hooked back by 3 sickle arms like rails. His chest tore open the sea of ink and blood. He rolled around and screamed in despair, fuck. The iron soul beast is strong, and my half-ghost waist is so itchy that my soul is scattered. Brother Fan's stick king just opened the divine door with blood, and now I can't stop it. The little ghost army crawls on its knees to pull the soul, and the sisters are chained to the cold. Han Xiao staggered up the stone steps of the altar. The ashes of the ancient book and the broken pages of sheepskin finally burned. The palms of his palms were filled with yellow pus and blistered. His nosebleed ran down his lips and the smell of rust burned his throat. He grasped the fragments of the iron plate and shouted in a low voice to overpower the roar, "Cycle formation. Every time you capture the soul strengthens the phantom car, and the passengers are fully replenished and the rails are carried forever. The broken souls of the engineer's wife and children are merged into the source, and the heart of the rune stone is pulsing to lock reincarnation." He threw himself on the ground and rolled away. The old newspaper passenger list was scattered with blood mist. The portrait of the 1924 engineer stared back with his eyes drooping and dripping ink. His face turned pale and livid, fearful and feverish, and he crawled towards Mo Fan with claws shaking like an iron hook scraping his bones. "Brother Fan's soul, king." The ancient books recognize the stick and reverse the talisman, but the formation loops in endlessly, and the tunnel collapses and is completely buried. Our body is reincarnated, Jiang Chen's blood is scattered, and Zhixia's soul is broken. How can it be broken without talisman paper, without talisman water, and the hands are itchy and soul-eating? Mo Fan raised his stick against the yellow light to protect his body. The blood in his palm was hot and the veins in the stick were like a second heart. He smelled the rust of the altar and the rotten smell of the slaughterhouse. The blood-red coordinates of his shattered mobile phone reflected the crazy pulse of Qiao Zhixia and stabbed his brain. His mind flashed back to the phantom car chasing on the highway at night and at night. The second hand freezes and clicks, the train door closes and she disappears at the moment, the silver bracelet jingles with the old runes, the heart is activated by blood and smashed, Jiang Chen's ghost words, the altar's origin engineer leader blood sacrifice, and Han Xiao's ancient book railway carries the soul forever to lock the reincarnation. The inner game is like hammers smashing against each other, the heart rushes into the formation to save Zhixia, and the sickle arms rush together to crush the soul. Let Jiang Chen sacrifice blood to open up the weakness, and the half-ghost mutates to recruit a large army to replenish the army. Han Xiao reverses the talisman drawing formation, and there is no paper and no water to eat the soul and bite back. The stick king reversely controls the talisman pulse, the source rune stone heart beats faster, and the unknown fear is like a black hole swallowing the brain. One mistake, all will be destroyed, and the reincarnation will be eternal night. But Zhixia's tearful eyes locked, and his pale lips said silently, "Mo Fan, smash." He calmly suppressed the wave of despair, and growled Wubwa to lock the eye rune stone, split up. Qinzi attracts the kid, and Brother Han draws the counter talisman to stabilize the formation. I untie the chain and smash the heart. The stick swept through the blood mist, crawled against the light and reversed the kid's hook claws, shrank in the black mist, and the phosphorus fire dimmed the cracks. The black holes in Jiang Chen's black eyes were wide open, and the black holes in his waist hook and flesh were expanding. However, he climbed up and trembled with his legs, fluttering at the group of little ghosts. His claws smashed into phosphorus and sparks flew everywhere. The half-man screamed, "Brother Fan's divine order. I, the body shield of the ink body, listen to the stick king, attract all the little ghosts." I thought the waste-swallowing team was in trouble, but now they are turning around, I'm fighting with the invincible master. He half-dragged his body to the side of the battle, hooked the waist of 5 little ghosts and pulled the rotten tsunami of minced meat, twisting the rails with his sickle arm. Chu pounced on him, tearing his shoulders and spitting blood. He rolled and smashed into the wall. His eyes were black and the needles were shrinking. He shouted in adoration, "Fuck. The little devil is tickling, and the sickle iron beast is tearing my ink skin. Brother Fan is calm and conscious, and sisters are loose, I'm blocking it. Stop the army's footsteps and press the thunder." The alien blood iron beast squeezed half of its body into the tunnel, its eyes were dripping with ink, locking the veins of its sticks, its claws and hammers smashed into pieces on the stone steps, the iron beams on the top of the tunnel broke and roared at the end of the formation, and the ghostly breath of black fog crawled up its ankles and stuck to its legs. Han Xiao climbed up with a white scratch on his arms, the old newspaper passenger list pressed against his chest and the blood talisman jumped, his palms were itchy and biting, yellow pus dripping with stones, his nose was sniffing the broken souls of his wife and children, sweet rot pressed against the rust, his enthusiasm and fear turned into a livid whisper, anti-talisman painting formation. The broken pages of the ancient book recognize the King of Sticks, and the old talisman is smashed with blood under the broken heart. He scratched the blood on the iron plate fragments with his claws, crawled against the talisman veins along the stone steps, and the blood-red image of the sheepskin appeared on the edge of the formation, and the little devil's hooked claws rushed towards him. Shrinking in the fog, his face collapsed for the first time and he turned to fanatical worship. He stared at Mo Fan's back with a trembling voice, "Brother Fan's soul has awakened to lead." The magical skill of drawing blood on paper without talisman, the ancient books fly ashes to recognize the master, hold the kid at the edge and retreat. Jiang Chen's ink shield divine block, my anti-talisman pulse is pulsing slowly, but the rune stones are accelerating. The alien heart is rushing towards the formation, and Zhixia's soul is tightening. His blood finger scratched the stone steps wildly, the anti-talisman circle expanded, the phosphorus fire turned green and yellow to protect the edge of the formation, and the sickle arm rails twisted and smashed into the air. Mo Fan locked eyes on Qiao Zhixia's iron chain with cold eyes, and the stick's veins rushed through his brain. The iron pincer in his heart locked his determination. Zhixia sacrificed her soul to lead the battle. Every time she beat, her neck was strangled and the blood groove widened. To save her, she would hit the source. The stick reversed the risk and gathered an army to eat her. But he failed to save her. The phantom car on the Samsara Eternal Night Highway pursued her again, and all the talismans summoned by Zhongdongmen Pass were destroyed. The pulse of the broken phone reflected the outline of her face, blood hit her heart. He sniffed the blood mist and burned her lungs. The stick clicked on her neck and the talisman clicked against the light and crawled along the blood. The iron chain jingled loosely. Her pale hands grasped the air and her eyes locked with tears. She gasped with pale lips, "Mo Fan is close to the rune stone." The sick arm engineer's body roared and shook. The altar collapsed, his eyes were dripping with ink, and countless staring sticks were staring at him. His multiple arms stretched out his rail hooks to attack the heart of the formation. His sticks were guarded across the ground and he rushed forward to block the bombardment of flesh and blood. Mars sprayed iron on his face, and the game in his mind resumed. He unchained at close range to reveal his soul, retreated and other counter-talisman gathered reinforcements. The potential of the King of Sticks backfired at the source, and he was wiped out with one hit. But she really pierced with smash, down, and he roared to the heart of the formation. The stick hit the iron chain with a loud bang and broke 3 links. Jiang Chenmo's body rolled on the side of the formation, black blood burst out from his shoulders, waist and knees, and his heart was drawn to his soul. He hooked more than a dozen little ghosts into the flesh and pulled out the putrid sea. His sickle arm tore into the air and smashed his leg clamps to break. Mo Fan crawled on the blood rails and reversed the hook claws. He stared at Mo Fan with black eyes and tears as he untied the chain. The ghosts roared in fanatic worship and roared, "Brother Fan smashed the chain. Sisters fell down and saved me, I'm Mo Fan." The shield blocks the whole army of imps, and the team just thought that the souls were scattered, but now the situation is reversed. The alien beast head probes the formation, and the ink blood, pulls the army. Brother Fan is the invincible soul king in the world. The alien blood iron beast's body merged into the altar door, its eyes were dripping with ink, roaring and ear-piercing, claws and hammers rushed into the heart of the formation, the stone steps shattered with thunder, and the entire tunnel collapsed and the iron beams were swallowed up by the black mist. Han Xiao's blood finger anti-talisman circle expanded to half of the formation, the sheepskin blood talisman jumped and burned the railway track, twisted the sickle arm, and stagnated. He swallowed yellow pus on the back of his hand, spurted stones, and roared with blood. He stopped the nosebleed and his face was ashen. He grabbed the iron plate frantically, "Hooray, I rune stone." The old talisman under the heart is activated by the blood. Engineer, the main body's weakness is gathered. Brother Fan hits it accurately, and the cycle breaks and the phantom car is wiped out. He glared at the talisman as it pulsated and clicked. Every time it jumped, the green phosphorus charged fiercely, and the iron bars on the wall were exposed and dripping with blood. The traces of his claws stretched and climbed up to the ceiling, and the ghost army surged up and covered the knees with black mist. Mo Fan held Qiao Zhixia in his arms and fell to the ground. The backlight of the stick covered the blood groove in her neck and slowly healed. She pointed coldly at the heart rune and whispered, "Smash, the souls of my wife and children." His calm mind locked in, the pulse of the rune accelerated like thunder, and the embedded old runes flashed blood red. If it was smashed, it would cause the soul to be devoured by the ocean, but he did not smash the reincarnation lock forever. The head of the stick clicked into the cracks in the stone, and the blood crawled against the pulse. The runestone stagnated and pulsed slowly. The engineer's body roared like a railway collapsing. The collapsed eyes dripped ink and locked the stick to take revenge, forever, load, mend. The imp retreated from the fog, and the sickle arm twisted and flew into the air. However, the rune stones suddenly accelerated and pulsed with blood and light soared into the sky. The tunnel collapsed and the iron stones were buried at the end of the formation. The footsteps of the alien army were united by thousands of thunders, and all the ghosts were summoned. Summoning black mist to surround the altar, and phosphorus fire to exterminate and engulf the altar forever, Qiao Zhixia's lips trembled. Mo Fan. Hurry! Jiang Chen Mo Xiao worshipped in despair. Brother Fan points against the stone god. Slow down the kid to retreat, but speed up the explosive army. I can't stop the full siege. Han Xiao broke his blood finger and roared, explode from the source. Soul King smashes. The crisis iron net was strangled, and the rune stones rattled and the heart skipped and froze time and space. The heart of the rune stone jumped like a thunder bursting the sea of blood, the green phosphorus exploded to the ceiling, the iron bars were exposed and elongated, dripping blood beads slapped on the stone steps, the altar niche was completely cracked, and the blood-red runes pulsed and whispered, blood opens, revenge, immortality, king control, eternal life, mend. Each word was like an iron hook scraping the brain and boring into the soul. The engineer's 3-foot-long iron body has a bulging chest, and his eyes are drooped. Countless drops of ink are drawn to lock the veins of Mofan's stick. The multi-armed sickle and hammer are twisting and extending, and the rails are twisting and roaring, eardrum shattering. The claw hammer smashes into the heart of the formation. The stone steps are cracked by lightning, and sparks are flying around. The iron smell is burning and the nose is burning. The alien army's whole has merged into one flesh and blood iron beast. Thousands of footsteps have rushed in, and many of the gatekeepers have collapsed. The eyes roared and tore into the sky, the claws and hammers smashed against the walls and shattered into pieces of iron rain. The afterimages of the ghost passengers reunited and the phantom convoy crashed into the iron door of the altar. The blood lights on the front of the car dazzled and flashed runes. The tires and rails grinded stone sparks and rancid blood mist spewed. The passage collapsed. The eternal night iron mesh meat grinder tightened and swallowed, and the 3 figures were submerged in the black hole and the sea of blood. Jiang Chenmo's half-leg clamp is broken, black blood crawls through his heart and pulls the soul, his claws hook 20 ghosts, the waist is drawn and putrid, the melted wax skin penetrates the black hole, widening the waist hook, knee scars, shoulders piercing the chest, tearing apart, ink tears spurting out, the ghost's eyes are cracked, the sickle arm, the rail is twisted and fluttering the air smashed into his back, bones shattered and black blood spurted out. He rolled over the stone steps and screamed in despair before collapsing. His voice was shaking like an iron chain scraping against his bones and roaring, "Brother Fan. The rune stones are accelerating and the army is exploding. My ink shield can't stop the full tide." The alien beast's head merges into the formation heart, and the phantom car hits the door. The rails are forever replenishing the soul. The waist is itchy, the soul is scattered, the sisters are tightened, the anti-talisman ring is broken. I am half ghost, I just thought that the situation is reversed, and now the iron net is strangled, the stick king can't save the eternal night of reincarnation. Mo Fan, the half-human ghost screamed intermittently, the alien claws hammered at his legs, and the minced meat splashed and pressed into his throat. The phosphorus fire, green and yellow licked the black blood, and the steam smelled rotten. His leg clamps trembled and slid, and the black mist flooded his knees. His eyes were dripping with ink and he was staring at his soul. The hook stretched the waist hole, expanded the melted wax and collapsed. Han Xiao's bloody finger was broken and the anti-talisman circle array was half cracked. The sheepskin blood talisman jumped and burned the railway track. The sickle arm was stagnant. The back of his hand and the palm turned back to yellow pus and spurted stones. He roared in pain. The nosebleed ran along his lips and the smell of rust burned his lungs. The traces of his paws stretched and climbed up to the ceiling. Blood beads pattered. He grabbed fragments of iron plates and old newspapers. Passenger rosters pressed against his chest. 1924 engineer. The portrait is revived with eyes drooping and staring back, its face is pale and livid, fear and fanaticism collapse, and the blood is flowing, cycle explosion. The rune stone pulsates and captures the soul with each jump to strengthen the phantom car rail lock. The source of the shattered souls of the wife and children is embedded with the old rune. It is activated by the blood, smashing the dangerous soul sea, devouring the body, and the body is even more crazy. No rune water paper, my blood magic skill has stabilized the formation. After all, the soul-devouring hand was itching and biting the bones, the alien army was engulfed in the altar, the tunnel collapsed and the phantom car crashed into the wall. Brother Fan's Soul King stick slowed down but accelerated to replenish the army, Jiang Chen's ink blood scattered and yellow pus exploded. How to break it? The ancient book flew into ashes and recognized the stick king, and the reincarnation was completely destroyed. His fingers frantically drew the pulse of the remaining talisman, and the anti-talisman circle, green phosphorus fire, flashed against the yellow, and the little devil beside the formation retreated from the fog, but the sickle arm smashed into the air, rocks shattered with thunder, thousands of alien footsteps flooded his ankles, and the sticky soul was pulled. Qiao Zhixia's pale body was half fallen. The cold hand in Mo Fan's arm was holding the stick, and her pulse was trembling. The blood groove on her neck slowly healed and ran red to her chest. She turned white with tears and locked the rune stone. Her heart was pulsing and the second hand was hallucinating. Her pale lips were gasping and unable to pierce the black mist. Mofan, under the rune stone, the broken souls of my wife and children, smash, but the army tied, we. After saying that, the black mist hooks and claws of the little ghost came back and flooded her knees to pull her soul. The broken links of the iron chain jingled loosely, but the pulse of the array accelerated. She buried her pale face into Mo Fan's chest and sniffed his blood with tears streaming down her face. Her voice trembled like a candle in the wind, save, everyone, reincarnation, the highway. The phantom car hit the wall with a rumble, shaking the altar, and the blood lamp stabbed the brain and the runes flickered. Whispering, "Make up," the alien army of flesh and blood, iron beasts, claws and hammers rushed towards the formation, shattering the stone steps and crushing them with thunder. The sea of black mist, rancid flesh, rolled and sticky, drilling into the eardrums and peeling away souls. The silhouettes of the three people were strangled by an iron net, overwhelming the desperate situation, and devoured by the eternal night without light. Mo Fan holds Qiao Zhixia Tsang in his arms, his body stick crosses the yellow shield and rushes to block the sickle arm. The flesh and blood are bombarded by Mars and the iron spray spurts on his face. He sniffs the rotten sweet rust of the altar and burns his lungs. The blood-red coordinate pulse of the broken mobile phone reflects her outline, which stimulates his brain and flashes back to the road chase. The door is frozen. The bracelet's silver chain jingled with the old runes, blood from the heart activates and smashes the souls of my wife and children. The iron vice game in my mind smashes it again, the stick hits the cracks in the stone and crawls against the blood to slow down the risk of exploding the army and devouring oneself. The blood fuses with the will, the unknown fear, the black hole swallows the brain, and one mistake destroys all reincarnations in the eternal night. But Jiang Chen Ma Xiao was desperate. Han Xiao collapsed in fear, and Zhixia Zhangquan, save everyone. He calmly suppressed the wave of despair and shouted to lock the runestone, hold on. Qinzi exploded with ink to lead the army, and Brother Han's protective talisman burst into pieces. I am bloody source. The stick veins are hot, the second heart is rushing to the brain, and the formation veins are running against the light. The rune stones are pulsing and the green phosphorus is dim, but the engineer's body is roaring, the railway is collapsing, and the eyes are dripping with ink, and the multi-arms are rushing towards the alien tide. Jiang Chen glared at Mo Fan with black eyes and tears. The ghost screamed and roared in fanatical worship. The hole in his waist expanded, melted wax, black blood crawled to his heart, pulled the soul, and his leg clamps broke and dragged him half crawling on the floor. 30 little ghost flesh minced with a claw hook, rancid tsunami, phosphorus and sparks flew everywhere. The sickle arm tore out and smashed his chest and smashed it, spewing ink and blood. He rolled on the edge of the formation and screamed in pain, Brother Fan, Soul King God Wisdom. I, Mo Shen, obeyed the order and triggered the tide of the army. I just thought that the desperate situation was over. Now, the bloody explosion opened the gap, and my sister, Brother Han, came to protect me and pull the whole army. His black skin is full of black holes, the runes are bulging, and the black blood is boiling. The alien claws and hammers are rushing to the edge of the formation. He is laughing like a ghost, half-man is howling, his waist is hooked, his knees are scarred, his chest is torn, and his legs are exploding. The ink blood track crawled and reversed, and the hook and claws all stagnated. Phosphorus fire green and yellow licked the body, and the steam was so rotten that it rose to the sky. His eyes locked with black eyes, the worship of Mo Fan's back collapsed and burned, fuck. The ink blood burned and tickled the soul, and the mind was refreshed. I was a half-ghost and martyred, and the alien army's phantom car was fully replenished. Brother Fan's stick king's blood smashed into the source, invincible in the world. Remember, the rune stones require the blood and will of the protagonist. Fusion, break the cycle, break the eternal load, save everyone. As he finished speaking, his ink body exploded and a sea of black blood spurted out like the edge of a nuclear explosion talisman array. The rails twisted and sickle arms wailed as the tide receded. The cracks in the altar niches were torn apart with red blood, thunder and gravel flew. The passage collapsed, alien footsteps were stagnated by thunder pressure, and the black mist rolled back. The phantom car crashed into the wall and the crooked blood lights dimmed. Han Xiao broke his blood finger and grabbed the iron plate and glared at Jiang Chen. His face was livid, and his face turned from ardent fear to collapse. He worshipped and roared, Jiang Chen's black ink explodes and the divine sacrifice. The cracks in the formation are opened, the rune pulse cuts off the devil's mist, and I turn against the rune to protect the bloody magic skill and stabilize the road. Brother Fan's soul awakens to lead, there is no solution to the reincarnation just now, and now it is split against the sky, the king of sticks is awesome and the ancient book recognizes the master and is invincible. Yellow pus on the back of his hand. Stopping the bleeding, he scratched wildly with his fingers and the shield of the remaining talisman expanded in reverse. The image of sheepskin was like a blood-red leaping iron snake, which recognized the owner of the fissure. The nosebleed and the smell of iron and rust burned his throat and he crawled up with claws to protect Mofan's flanks. He roared and shook his arms, run. The fissure is open to the outside of the waste station. The aliens are chasing after the hooks. The phantom car is tilted to replenish the army, but Jiang Chen's last words. The blood will fuses and smashes the source of the rune stones. I swear to follow the Soul King. The rail car rushed out of the alien claws and protected the cabin with backlight, but the exit was sealed. The Iron Gate's talismans were beating wildly, whispering, no way, to replenish the army. The tunnel roared forever, and the army reunited and their footsteps clicked. Zhixia's cries turned into desperate screams, "Mo Fan! Underground! Hurry!" Jiang Chenban the ghost's body twitched, and the black blood crawled deep into his heart. Han Xiao's face turned pale and he grabbed the ancient book, Jiang Chen Mutates. The source altar. But the door is sealed, the alien is chasing, Brother Fan. Mo Fan's stick has a pulse like thunder, cold eyes lock the door, and the rotten iron tsunami ballasts the ship. The crisis suddenly rises like a guillotine. Mo Fan held Qiao Zhi in his arms and Xia Tsang rushed forward with his stick to protect the road. He sniffed the sweet steam of Jiang Chen's ink blood and burned his lungs. His eyes were filled with tears and his determination was shattered. His mind flashed back to Jiang Chen's ghost-talking road story and Mo Shield's admiration for blocking the army and shouting, "Brother Fan is the invincible soul king in the world." The inner wave of despair turned into a burning oath like a hammer hitting the soul, Tetsuko. I swear to save everyone. The reincarnation is broken, the phantom car is destroyed, and Brother Zhixia Han is alive. Tears stained his face was calm and roared, his stick veins were hot, and blood dripped from the palms of his hands, dripping blood from the cracks in the rune stones. Climbing and melting will pulses, runestones pulsating and green phosphorus cracks expand, the engineer's body roars and drops ink, but the rails twist and wail, Mo Fan roars and hugs Zhixia and rushes through the cracks, the reverse yellow shield blocks the alien claw hammer and the iron spray of Mars, Han Xiao's blood talisman side guards and roars, the Soul King's magical skill of blood fusion. Fight the main body to retreat, rush outside the station and smash the source to finish. The three figures ran wildly in the blood mist, cracks thundered, gravel rain poured down, black mist chased the soul's sticky legs, phosphorus fire green and yellow licked the back, and the phantom car tilted and rumbled into the wall. The blood-red fissure tore open the Evernight highway outside the abandoned station, the rails were broken, and the phosphorus fire swayed. The three people staggered out of the altar, and the altar collapsed and roared, burying the rear. The rune pulses of Jiang Chen's sea of ink blood cut off the little devil's wail, and the alien army smashed the crack with claws and hammers to seal the crack. But the endless cycle of lights on the road lengthened, the clock and second hand froze and clicked, the ancient runes flashed again on the shattered screen of the mobile phone, and the phantom convoy in the distance reunited infinitely. Han Xiao turned around and stared at the endless car shadows with fear and enthusiasm, Brother Fan. The road is blocked by reincarnation outside the escape station. The phantom car is chasing after him with infinite reinforcements. The blood will merges with the source of the rune stones. I swear to follow the Soul King through the endless night. Curse. Mo Fan burst into tears, wiped his blood and locked eyes with the convoy in front of him. His pulse was hot and his heart was pulsing with determination. He smelled the rotten iron in his nose and roared, "Come on. I'll crush Yongzai and destroy them all." The shadow of the road light stretched like ghost claws stretching endlessly, tires and rails scratched the ground, sparks exploded, putrid blood mist sprayed into the face, the phantom motorcade's blood lights dazzled and flashed, ancient runes whispered, "Replenish, forever," the second hand of the clock clicked, freezing the auditory hallucinations echoing in the brain, the time loop locked into the eternal night, and each segment of the repeated pursuit clock stopped the door and closed. The talisman to appear soul-eating. Mo Fan holds Qiao Zhixia in his arms, his body stick crosses the yellow shield and rushes to block the blood mist hook claws and the iron smell of Mars. He sniffs rotten sweet rust, burns his lungs, sticks his legs, sticks black mist, hooks, souls, and flesh pains. Tens of thousands of ants bite the bones. The blood-red coordinates of his mobile phone pulse and flash again to summon the rune drill eye. The outline of the black hole in the distant abandoned station is twisted and zoomed in and out. The endless iron network twists and despairs. Han Xiao's bloody finger was broken and he grasped the broken railway track. The phosphorus fire was swaying. He flanked the rusher with blood from his nose, a smell of rust, burning his throat, yellow pus, and drawing threads on the back of his hands and crawling on his arms. He stared at the endless convoy of blood lights, locked his soul, and his face was livid with fear. Fanaticism collapsed and turned to despair. He roared and roared, "Brother Fan! The road cycle is locked every time." The paragraph is repeated, the infinite reinforcements of the phantom car are chasing the railway track, the rubble is raining, the frozen second hand clicks and the mobile phone is blood red, summoning the ghost hook soul. Jiang Qinhua bursts out of the crack and escapes from the station. He thought it was reversed, but now the eternal night reincarnation has no way out. My blood talisman shield expands in reverse. Zhang couldn't hold back the endless tide, and the claws of the alien scythe smashed into the leg, and the minced meat spattered and putrefied. How to break it? The ancient book flew into the ashes and was unable to solve the road trap, and the Soul King and Stick King were also trapped in the eternal soul-replenishing talisman, and the pulses protected the three figures. The black mist flooded the knees, penetrated the eardrums and peeled away the soul. The phantom car's eyes drooped with ink and frantically whispered, "Blood is flowing, revenge." The sick soul alien crawled out from the seam of the car. Thousands of footsteps rushed towards it. His yellow pus spurted rocks, roared in pain, his legs slipped into the black hole, his waist was scattered, and his soul collapsed. Qiao Zhixia's pale body was half fallen. Mo Fan's cold hands were holding the stick, and her veins were trembling with ice tears. The blood groove in her neck was red and healing, but her soul was loosening. The iron chain was clanging and the pulse was speeding up. Her tearful eyes turned white and locked on the blood-red runes. She heard hallucinations and her brain was frozen. Her pale lips were panting and unable to pierce the blood mist. Mo Fan, circulation, every stretch of highway, the clock stopped, car chase, Jiang Chen's last words, blood-melting will, source, altar, return, the broken souls of his wife and children. The hooked claws of the broken kid surged again and flooded her knees, pulling the black hole in her soul widening and the molten wax penetrated the skin. She buried her pale face in Mo Fan's chest and sniffed the blood. The iron tears fell coldly. The phantom car hit the roadside iron railing, sand shattered and iron rain poured down. Phosphorus fire, green and yellow licked her body, and the putrid steam burned her nose. The alien army's claws and hammers of the flesh-and-blood iron beast smashed the shield and sparks flew everywhere. She screamed in despair and turned into a broken voice, shaking like a candle, soul pull, tight, everyone, reincarnation, endless. Mo Fan stared coldly at the endless car shadows in front of him, his nose sniffing the rotten stench of iron, his pulse was hot and his second heartbeat was counter-controlling, determination was burning to suppress the wave of despair, and his mind was cracked by the iron tong game. The road cycle originated from rune stones, the heartbeat replenished the army, and every time he escaped, he was reunited and chased. But he could only return to the altar to smash his wife and children, the source of their souls, and the blood melted will that would last forever. He roared and hugged Qiao Zhixia tightly with his arms, and charged towards the road with his stick. Hold on. Lock the altar of the source of the cycle and smash it back to break the cycle of reincarnation. Brother Han taught me the fusion of will, and the soul of Zhixia is attached to my body. It's so powerful. The inverse yellow shield blocked the sickle arm's flesh and blood bombardment, and the iron spray sprayed on his face. The black mist chased the soul and stuck to his legs, hooking his flesh and piercing his bones. He ran towards the broken railway track and locked onto two overturned trucks on the side of the road while the phosphorus fire flickered. The red light on the front of the car was dim and the passengers' shadows were muttering. The two drivers were covered in blood and hooked on their waists. The half-dead ghost climbed up the hatch and screamed. Han Xiao furiously scratched the side of the broken talisman with his blood finger and glared at the truck. His face turned pale and fear turned to fanaticism and he roared, "Brother Fan's divine eyes." The truck driver was trapped in a loop and trapped in the soul hook. Rescue the eyewitness testimonies and strengthen his will. My blood magic skill draws an array to stabilize the road. The image of sheepskin is a blood-red leaping iron snake and recognizes the master to protect him. His nosebleeds ran along his lips, rust burned his lungs, and yellow pus on the back of his hands stopped. The pulse of the claw railway talisman expanded inversely to block the tide of aliens. The black mist retreated and the little ghost wailed. He roared and scratched Mo Fan's arm, the secret method of integrating the ancient books of will. The blood drops on the talisman are not enough. Jiang Chen's residual ink blood needs to be injected into the veins to strengthen the determination of the Soul King. The sea of ink and blood in the aftermath of the rift will leave pieces of iron plate dripping on me. Quickly save the driver and rush to the altar to reorganize the source. Mo Fan clicked the iron door of the truck with his stick, and the reverse talisman exploded into the green phosphorus crack, shielding the iron claws of Mars to block the hammer. He held Qiao Zhixia and Xia Tsang and jumped into the cabin, sniffing the ink, blood, rotten sweetness, and burning throats. The waist holes of the two drivers, the middle-aged strong man and the thin young man, expanded. Molten wax, black blood, grunted and crawled into the heart. The pulse of his stick was hot, and blood dripped from the palm of his hand. The hole in the driver's waist crawled and melted with pulses. The little ghost wailed and the fog retreated. The black hole shrank. The strong man driver's eyes widened with tears. His trembling voice was like an iron chain scraping his bones. He crushed the phantom and boomed, "You, Soul King. I chased him 3 times on the highway." The talisman on the clock door closed appeared on the mobile phone to summon the ghost of the onboard engineer. 1924 old newspaper. The passenger list was shattered and I thought I was dead. The stick god reversed the blood and saved me from Mo Dongha. Awesome testimony. The source of the shattered souls of my wife and children under the heart of the altar rune stone broke the reincarnation, and the blood and will merge to control the back of Mo Fan. The black mist screamed and the worship collapsed. God. I witnessed the iron beams of the abandoned station tunnel breaking and the alien army wave. The phantom car crashed into the altar and the blood lamp runes replenished the army. The engineer's 3-foot-long iron body and multi-armed sickle hammer locked the soul. After saving me, he ran to the altar to inject ink and blood to strengthen. I personally saw Jiang Chen's ink explosion. God's sacrifice opened the cracks and pulled the alien tide. The Soul King, the Stick King, is unparalleled in the world. The enemy, remembering that the broken souls of his wife and children were embedded in the old talisman, was smashed and the body was crazy, but the will was broken and the cycle was broken. The two drivers, with blood on their waists, climbed out of the truck and knelt down to worship. They burst into tears and roared. The alien claw hammer smashed into the cabin, sparks sprayed out, and the blood was rusty. They swore, "Follow the Soul King to break through the altar of reincarnation." Qiao Zhixia gasped, her soul loosened and the iron chain jingled, her cold hands grasped Mo Fan's chest, ice tears dripped down her soul, her pale body penetrated into the stick veins, and heat flowed through her body. She heard hallucinatory voices whispering in her brain, "Mo Fan, my soul is attached, so powerful, the blood melts, my wife and children, smash." Her pale body was half disappeared and the cold finger pointed at the source of the rune stone. Her soul power rushed towards Mo Fan's second heartbeat, which was reverse-controlled and accelerated. He sniffed the sweet scent of her soul against the rancid iron smell. His eyes were filled with tears and his determination shattered and burned. Zhixia. I have the power. The driver's testimony is irrefutable. Chen Zimo's blood injection strengthens it, and he returns to the altar and smashes it to the source to destroy it. Han Xiao's bloody finger broke and he grabbed the iron plate fragment and the blood dripped from it. The king's will exploded, and the back of Huang Pu's hand leapt into flames as the iron snake shield expanded and roared, the magical skill of ink blood injection. Jiang Chen's legacy melts the soul of the king's veins, and his determination is invincible. The driver's testimony from ancient books proves the weakness of his wife and children's broken souls, and he rushes to the altar to reorganize the source and break the curse. 4 people and 5 shadows, possessed by the soul of Zhou, ran wildly through the black hole of the abandoned station. The rails were swaying with phosphorus fire. The two drivers were dragging their legs through the black mist and swore to follow the King of Souls. The phantom convoy reunited infinitely and crashed into the roadside iron railing with blinding rumbles and rain of sand and gravel. The clock in second hands froze and clicked, the runes on the phone flashed again and summoned the tide of ghosts and hooked souls. The strong man driver stared at the shadow of the car in fear, then turned to worship and roared, "The Soul King Mo's blood is hot and powerful. I have witnessed the road ghost 3 times. The onboard engineer dropped his eyes and dripped ink. Now he is running back to the altar thinking that he is finished and will reverse the world. The stick god is awesome in ancient books. Recognize the Lord and be invincible." Mo Fan, a thin young man with black eye locks and a calm back, burst into tears. "Fuck. The soul-possessed girl protects the soul, Brother Han's blood talisman is the iron snake, and we swear to crush the souls of my wife and children forever, and the road to reincarnation will be cold." The altar was reorganized. Blood-red fissures and thunder tore open the black hole of the tunnel. The iron beams were broken. A rain of rubble and green phosphorus rushed to the ceiling. The naked blood dripped. The runestone's heart pulsated and stagnated. Mo Fan's blood and will melted and expanded. The seam expanded and the reverse control pulse whispered intermittently. The eardrums are buzzing, the blood-red pulse of the handheld talisman sword is slashing at the stick veins, sparks of iron are spraying out, the alien army is unified at the hole, and the iron beasts of flesh and blood are rushing in with thousands of footsteps. The gatekeepers have multiple heads with flat eyes, dripping ink, tearing out the hollows, claws and hammers smashing into the wall. Kasha Iron Rain, the afterimages of the ghost passengers reunite, the phantom convoy rumbles and collides with the reorganized iron door. Han Xiao glared at the engineer while guarding the blood talisman formation. His face was livid and he roared with fear and despair, fully embodying the soul-slaying talisman sword. The multiple arms merged into one and the rails twisted and locked Brother Fan. The rune stones were stagnant but the reinforcements accelerated and the alien tide buried the altar. The remaining talisman painted with my blood magic skill could not protect the whole body. Just now the testimony of the rescue driver was reversed and the situation was considered a mystery. Now the source is reorganized and the king has no solution. Yellow pus spurted from the back of his hand, his nose bleeded, rust burned his lungs, and his claws climbed up the stone steps. His bloody fingers expanded wildly, but the talisman sword slashed through the stone steps, cracked with thunder, green phosphorus licked his body, and his legs slid, black mist, soul scattered, and stared at Mo Fan. Qiao Zhixia buried her pale face in Mo Fan's chest and grasped the stick's pulse with trembling tears. She whispered feebly through the cracks of her cold fingers, "Mo Fan, Jiang Chen, blast, save my door, swear to everyone." The blood groove in her neck was stained red and the stick's veins heated up and healed. Her tearful eyes locked on Mo Fan's calm back, her pale lips gasping, "Blood melt, will, reincarnation is broken." The black mist surged again and the little devil's hook claws crawled on the knees and pulled the soul, and the alien army's footsteps were thundered by the claws and hammers that smashed the rocks on the edge of the crack. Qiao Zhixia's soul was attached to the stick, and her pulse was running hot. She hallucinated and heard a voice in her head, "Mo Fan. Talisman sword. Wife and children, smash." Mo Fan calmly suppressed the roar and roared with his arm stick violently blocking the talisman sword. His flesh and blood bombarded his face with the irony burning of Mars, and he sniffed the rotten sweet rust blood of the altar butchery. The sea burns the lungs, Jiang Chen's ink blood injection heats the pulse and channels the second heart. The Soul King's will explodes in the brain. The blood-red coordinates of the broken mobile phone reflect the broken souls of his wife and children. Destroy everything. The blood on the palm of the stick clicked and the cracks clicked. The pulse of will melted and the green phosphorus exploded. The heart of the rune stone trembled violently and the cracks expanded. The blood-red runes whispered, "Prepare," and the engineer roared completely and locked eyes with ink dripping frantically. The multi-armed scythes and hammers swooped together and wailed and twisted, the rune swords and blood ate back at the giant body of iron and flesh, the chest cavity exploded, and a sea of ink and blood spurted out, the alien army's footsteps were stagnated by the thunder pressure, the black mist rolled back, and the little ghosts wailed, the phantom car tilted and hit the wall, the blood lamp shattered, and the runes pulsed. The ghost of the engineer was completely collapsed, his eyes were split open, ink spurted out, his giant body was kneeling on the subway rails, twisting and drawing, his iron chest was split open, his wife and children's souls were shattered, and the old talisman appeared in blood red and whispered regret, revenge, eternal life, wrong, reincarnation eats oneself. The talisman's sword fell from his hand, the blood dimmed, and fell down the stone steps. The mortal soul king's cudgel collapses in fear and despair and roars like an iron hook scraping the soul, blood-melted will, reverse control, the king is destroyed, the eternal load is broken, the souls of his wife and children are shattered, devouring the body, regret. As soon as the words fell, the giant body exploded, the ink-blood nuclear explosion runestones, the heart was shattered, thunder and green phosphorus were extinguished, the black fog completely retreated from the passage, the iron beams stabilized the gravel and stopped the rain, the phantom convoy infinitely reunited, the blood lamp shattered, the road cycle clicked and disconnected, and the second hand resumed. The two drivers knelt down on the stone steps and the blood-soaked waste hole reopened the hook soul. They stared at the engineer's huge body with his eyes drooping and dripping ink. He screamed in despair and then collapsed in worship, Soul King. Completely slashed my waist with the sword and hooked the soul away. I testified that the souls of my wife and children were shattered, but the risk was self-destructive and the combination was even more crazy. Fan Ge's stick god reversed control and beat the sky. He was just strangled on the highway and now he is back to the source and is invincible. Han Xiao's bloody finger broke and he stood up and glared at the engineer who exploded. His face turned pale and he worshipped fervently. He worshipped and shouted to suppress the aftermath, the Soul King's blood-melting divine strike. The complete body talisman sword cut through the air and wailed, and his wife and children shattered their souls and devoured themselves. They reunited and regretted each other. All the rune stones were shattered. The green phosphorus extinguished the black mist and retreated from reincarnation. My ancient book flew into ashes and recognized the master as invincible. I was in a desperate situation and now I have conquered the world. The Stick King is the master of the Soul King. He knelt down and swore iron blood to grab the stick veins and burst into tears. Qiao Zhixia's pale soul light returned from the veins of the stick, and her body materialized into a cold hand, grabbing Mo Fan's arm, her eyes locked with tears on her calm face, her pale lips gasping, reincarnation, break, everyone, live. The iron chain around his neck jingled, fell to the ground and shattered. Mo Fan wiped the blood and tear tracks and glanced at the embers of the altar with cold eyes, sniffing and smelling the rotten smell. The irony smell faded away. His veins were hot and his heart beat steadily. He roared without wavering, Qiao Zhixia. Brother Han, the driver, all alive. The curse is over. However, in the depths of the abandoned station in the distance, a bloody residual light flashed and whispered, King Kong, mend. The engineer's soul-breaking ink was drawn into a hidden shadow, and he held the residual talisman sword with his eyes closed to stab the brain. The green phosphorus of the altar's embers dims, the iron beams hold steady and the rain of gravel stops, the black fog recedes and the empty echo of the railway track clicks softly, the clock in second hand ticks again to pierce the eternal silence of the night, the sparks of tire grindstones in the distance of the highway disappear, the rotten smell fades away and the iron smell ceases. Mo Fan's second heart pulse was steady, and he glanced coldly at the collapsed stone steps. The sea of ink and blood was dried and drawn. On his arms, Qiao Zhixia's cold body was clutching the remaining tears in his hands. He sniffed the scent of her soul, which was sweeter than the blood. He whispered without ripples and wiped the blood on his face, it's over. But deep in the tunnel of the abandoned station, the black hole flashed with a pulse of blood-red remaining light and whispered, "King control, mend." The engineer's soul-shattering ink reunited and the silhouette of the 3-foot shadow was twisted and narrowed. He held the residual talisman sword and dropped the ink to lock Mo Fan's heart. Han Xiao knelt on the ground with bloody fingers, broken rusty blood, swearing to grasp the veins of the stick, burst into tears and turned his face pale in adoration, staring into the depths of blood, nosebleed, rust-burning throat, back of hands, yellow pus leaping, burning. Iron Snake recognized the main pulse. He trembled like an iron chain and scraped bones, overcoming the aftermath and shouted, "Brother Fan. The runestones are all broken." The green phosphorus extinguishes the reincarnation, thinking that the divine situation will end the world. Now the engineer's broken soul is reunited, the hidden shadow remains, the sword locks the heart, the king controls the risk of replenishing the army. I have no ancient books to fly ashes. After this calamity, the souls of Gang's wife and children were shattered and their bodies were regretted. The blood talisman and the iron snake could not protect their souls and they were completely wiped out. He climbed up the stone steps and screamed in pain, his legs slipping with sticky ink mist. He stared at Mo Fan's calm back and collapsed in fear. The Soul King noticed the ghost car on the highway and penetrated everyone's life. Now the hidden shadow in the depths will determine the kingdom, and the stick god is awesome and controls the master. The strong man's driver's bloodied waist healed. He knelt down on the stone steps and worshipped. Tears broke down and he roared. He stared deep into the blood-red light and collapsed his eyes. He locked the shadow and screamed in despair. He then collapsed in worship, "God. My truck overturned on the highway and cycled 3 times. The testimonials are irrefutable and the source of the damage to my wife and children was all hit. The whole body exploded and roared with regret. Reincarnation has devoured me and is extinct. Now it is broken. The soul is reunited, the remaining talisman sword pierces the heart, thinking that the eternal life will be restarted, and the Soul King's stick pulse is stable and cold, invincible in the world. I, the ink blood, will go into the depths to destroy all the shadows." He smashed the stone with his iron fist, smelled the rotten sweet residual mist, and burned his lungs. The leg clamp was broken, dragging the ink half up and staring at Mo Fan, hugging Qiao Zhix's back with tears in his eyes and roaring. The 2 drivers knelt down and stared at the altar as it reorganized and collapsed. The strong man's eyes were bursting with tears and his worship collapsed. "God. I have witnessed the testimony to verify that the source of the hit was all hit." The whole body regretted and roared that reincarnation will destroy itself. The ghost car on the road cooled down and the Soul King saved everyone. The thin young man climbed up the stone steps to pay homage and shouted, "Brother Fan, the Soul King, injected divine power with the ink blood. Qiao's soul attached his strength to protect his wife and children, and our souls will be broken for eternity. We swear to follow you forever." Qiao Zhixia's body turned into a cold hand and grabbed Mo Fan's arms. Ice tears dripped from his soul, and he gathered around his neck. The iron chain shattered and fell to the ground. Her pale lips panted, locked in the depths of blood, light, auditory hallucinations, and her brain whispered, "Make up." Her pale eyes rolled, her soul loosened, and the aftermath shivered. She buried Mo Fan's chest, smelling the blood and the sweet scent of dirty souls. Suppressing the rotten smell, her voice trembled like a broken candle, shrieking in despair and attachment, "Mo Fan, hidden shadow, heart, pull, all members, soul prisoners." The broken seam of the rune stone on the blue finger pulsed deep into the hidden shadow's eyes, and the soul power rushed through Mo Fan's stick. The veins were hot and the second heart beat faster. Mo Fan sniffed the ice-sweet soul fragrance to suppress the blood-red afterglow, putrid and sweet rust, burning his lungs. He locked his eyes coldly on the black hole in the tunnel and pulled the sickle arm closer to reveal a low roar. The pulse of the stick was hot and Jiang Chen's ink blood was injected into the Soul King's will. The will of the Soul King exploded and the brain was blasted. The iron pincer suppressed the new threat. He hugged Qiao Zhixia's body and the stick exploded against the yellow shield. It expanded to block the invisible hook claw and the iron spray of Mars. Face, roaring without waves, remnant souls, replenishing the army has no source. Smash it. The blood-red coordinates of the broken mobile phone reflected the old talisman of the shattered souls of his wife and children, pulsing and flashing in his eyes. He ran up the stone steps, broken phosphorus fire swaying, and locked the source of the blood light in the deep black hole. The two drivers half-crawled and swore to follow Han Xiao's blood talisman and the iron snake to protect the flanks. The remaining threads of black mist unrolled and the little ghost wailed and disappeared. The hidden shadow engineer's soul-shattering ink sprayed out violently. The 3-foot-long giant body was reunited and half-revealed. His chest was cracked, his wife and children's souls were shattered, and the old talisman was glowing in blood. He was burning and whispering, "King control, eternal life." The broken talisman sword slashed the sky with blood light pulses. Thunder cracked the green phosphorus. The residual fire licked the body and sizzled. The putrid steam burned the nose. The multi-armed sickle hammer and the rails were twisted and extended. Locking on Mo Fan's heart, hooking souls and flesh, tens of thousands of ants biting the bones, dribbling ink from his eyes, frantically locking and screaming, eardrum-shattering buzzing, blood melt, reverse, regret, make up. The afterimage of the phantom car tilted and crashed into the wall. The blood lamp shattered and the rune pulses intermittently summoned the imp's hook claws to crawl out of the ink and rush towards him with thunder and lightning. Han Xiao's blood-fingered fingers were wildly swiping at the remnant talisman formation, staring at the hidden shadows. His face was ashen and he roared with fear, "The remnant soul king controls the reinforcements. The talisman sword cuts the heart and the sickle arm locks the soul. I, the iron snake, can't hold back the alien remnant tide. I just reincarnated and everyone appeared alive. He is gathering in a hidden counterattack and is strangled without any solution. His nose bleeds, his lips are rusty, his lungs are burned, and the yellow pus on the back of his hand expands and the yellow shield sparks to block the hook, but the talisman sword cuts through the air and the blood light bites back the yellow pus, squirts on his legs, slips with ink, and the soul collapses. He stares at Mo Fan. The thin young driver's black hole healed, he half-climbed the stone steps, worshipped and shouted, the ink drawing locked the hidden shadow, the sickle arm twisted and fear turned to feverish collapse, fuck. The multi-armed testimony of the tunnel alien tide engineer verified that Jiang Chen's ink blasted his wife and children, embedded old symbols, smashed and swallowed the body, and regretted it. The rune stone shattered, the green phosphorus destroyed the clock, and the road was broken, thinking that it was over. Now, Wang Kongbu whispers, the broken soul gathers into the shadow, holds the rune sword, and drops the ink to lock Brother Fan's heart. Awesome! The Soul King ink blood injects the divine power in a flash, and we swear to crush the remaining soul forever. Qiao Zhixia was hearing hallucinations in his brain. Mo Fan, the talisman sword, my wife and children, are broken. Mo Fan calmly pressed down and roared, tapping the stick on his palm and blood dripping wildly. The cracks in the chest cavity clicked and the blood crawled and melted. The pulse of will exploded, and the Soul King's stick burst and sprinted through the remaining talisman sword. The sparks of iron burned his face, sniffed the altar, putrid and rusty seas of blood burned his lungs, and his mind flashed back to the century-old railway tragedy. Drama, 1924 abandoned station tunnel collapses. Iron beams break. Debris rains down. The engineer's huge multi-armed sickle hammers the passengers. The sea of rotten flesh boils. The broken souls of his wife and children are embedded in the old talismans. The blood activates and screams for mercy, Father, free, the reincarnation bite. The engineer regrets and shouts, eternal life is wrong, the soul-replenishing king is destroyed. The tragic reincarnation locks the eternal night. The giant hidden shadow body trembled and ink sprayed wildly. The wronged souls of his wife and children appeared, and the pale little shadows appeared. The iron chains jingled and tugged and whispered, relieve, smash. The bloody light of the broken talisman sword was dim, and it fell from the hand and clattered to the rocks. The multi-armed sickle hammer shattered and the iron rain poured down and howled and deafened. The alien remnant tide stopped and the black mist retreated. The little ghosts wailed and died, the shadow knelt down with eyes closed, Mo Fan collapsed in fear and yelled, blood melt, wife and children, liberation. One control. After that, the ink-blood nuclear explosion, the green phosphorus extinction tunnel, the black hole shrank, the blood-red afterglow pulse stopped, the clock and the second hand ticked, and the distant car lights on the highway flashed normally, and there was no ghost to chase. The two drivers glared at the shadows, dropped their eyes, dripped ink, screamed and worshipped in despair, Soul King. The remnant soul is reunited, the talisman sword stabs the heart, and the soul is scattered. The testimonies are that the souls of my wife and children are broken, but the risk is that they are reunited. Brother Fan, the god of Styx, controls the world. Han Xiao stared at the hidden shadow beside the blood talisman formation and exploded. His face turned pale and he knelt down to worship in fervent worship. He roared over the aftermath of the thunder, the blood of the Soul King pierces the divine strike. The remaining souls are reunited and the talisman sword cuts into the sky. The wronged souls of his wife and children appear to seek liberation and eat themselves to death. The king controls the green phosphorus to extinguish the tunnel, stabilizes the clock, and the highway is normal. The strong driver, Mo Shui, knelt down on the stone steps and stared at the black hole in the tunnel. His strong eyes burst into tears. Mo worshipped and collapsed, yelling, God. I have cycled on the highway 3 times to testify that my wife and children were freed from a century-old tragedy. I completely repented and exterminated my remaining soul. I counterattacked and locked the heart. The Soul King smashed the whole thing with blood. Someone has escaped from the ghost car on the road forever. The thin young man half climbed to worship and shouted enthusiastically. Brother Fan's bloody power flashed back to the railway collapse engineer, and the soul of Qiao appeared to protect his wife and children. I swear to rule with the Soul King forever. Mo Fan's stick pulse was steady, wiping away the blood and tears. His cold eyes scanned the empty tunnel. The rails were smooth and phosphorus-free. He sniffed the breeze and faded away the rotten smell. His second heart beat. Jiang Chen's ink and blood blended together forever. He whispered without waves and hugged Qiao Zhixia tightly, Chen Zi left behind. The ambition is complete. The curse is over. The sound of people kneeling in worship overwhelmed the sound of the ticking clock. Han Xiao climbed up and picked up the remaining talisman. The blood light turned green and pulsed into his palm. He glared at the sword and trembled in worship, the Soul King's treasure. The master's broken talisman sword turned against the blood and turned into a soul-protecting artifact. The ancient book's dream-carrying road talisman will last forever. My blood talisman and the iron snake recognize the two masters as invincible. It is said in the city that the ghost car on the highway will never die. My driver circle praises the god of Styx for saving all souls. The thin young man paid tribute with tears in his eyes. Brother Fan is a supernatural master. I posted a testimony on the forum that proves the liberation of the railway for a century, and his reputation is soaring. The light shadow of the road outside the tunnel is stretched normally without ghost claws, the truck overturns in the distance and the driver's soulless hook climbs out to gasp and worship his back. The second hand of the clock ticks smoothly and the runes of the mobile phone are extinguished without summons, the black hole of the abandoned station shrinks and the iron door opens, the morning light penetrates and fades into the eternal night. Han Xiao's blood talisman sword green light guards rushed out to sniff the fresh smell of earth and iron. He turned his head and glared at Mo Fan, holding Qiao Zhixia in his arms and his back collapsed wildly. Brother Fan, Soul King. Just now, the remaining soul deep in the altar counterattacked and locked everyone in the soul prisoner crisis. Now the sword-turning artifact, fame, status, treasures, all have been collected, and the world has become a highway. The clock moves normally and there is no reincarnation. I complete the ancient book and burn it to ashes to recognize the master Wang Jiangshan. The two drivers followed and worshipped, the Soul King harvested the gods. The urban legend of our trivial task of repairing the truck came true, and the soul of my girlfriend was reunited and everyone became famous all over the world. Qiao Zhixia gasped and turned into a smile, her cold hands caressed Mo Fan's face as the tears dried and the sweet scent of ice lingered around her nose. The soft light of her pale eyes locked onto the stick and her pulse was steady. Mo Fan. Chunzi. Brother Han. Driver. Thank you. Yong Tuo. Mo Fan nodded calmly and closed the stick. The blood-red coordinates of the broken mobile phone in the arms turned to green light for eternal protection, and the second heartbeat of the Soul King suppressed the unknown fear with the iron pincers. Everyone stepped out of the abandoned station and the morning sun shone on them. The rails were shiny and without phosphorus fire. The traffic on the highway was normal and the horns were honking. There was no phantom chasing and the rotten smell disappeared. In the distance, the morning fog faded away from the urban skyline, and the lights on the high-rise buildings returned to light. Han Xiao's blood talisman sword flashed with green light in his sleeve, and he whispered to verify the pulse of the broken pages of the ancient book, the Soul King's roster is supplemented. The highway is always safe. The strong man driver dialed the alarm on his mobile phone and uploaded his testimony to the forum, which became a hot topic. Late-night driver smashed the century-old railway with a stick, the ghost king freed his wife, my innocent soul. The thin young man grasped the crowbar and simulated a cudgel and yelled, the Soul King of my circle, Mo Fan. The truck is renovated and the supernatural mastery is protected by the sword. It's so exciting to have all the trivial matters. Han Xiao turned around and knelt on the side of the road to worship and burst into tears. Brother Fan. The aftermath of the game, the hook rune stone was broken, the cycle intensified the soul prisoner crisis, and despair was overturned. Now the Shadow Treasure Destroyer has gained fame as Lord Wang Yong, and I swear to investigate all curses. The two drivers knelt down on the rust-dusted dusty knees and shouted, Soul King of the world. The Drivers' Alliance obeys the order, there will never be a phantom car on the road. Chasing the soul. Qiao Zhixia's tears fell and she grasped the stick's pulse and said softly, Mo Fan, go home, go back. Mo Fan glanced at the worshipping figures and sniffed the breeze of victory. The stick's pulse was hot and clicked on the ground. The green light guard expanded Yong'an Highway. He roared without wave, let's go. The morning light stretched the figure and there was an endless road ahead, and the wave of unknown fear turned into dust and a sense of accomplishment flooded his heart. The morning light falls like broken gold on the edge of the road. The remaining phosphorus fire ashes on the railway tracks are swept up by the breeze. The smell of fresh earth mixed with the faint tail of rust is heard. The second hand of the clock ticks smoothly over the distant traffic. In the palm of Han Xiao's blood talisman sword with green light and light veins, he knelt on the subway and his knees were buried in the dust. His face was stained with tears and rust, and he stared at Mo Fan, who held Xiao Zhi in his arms and Xia Tsang's back. His voice was shaking like a broken chain and scraping bones, and roared, Brother Fan, the Soul King. Wife in a century-old railway tragedy. The innocent soul of the child was smashed, and the green phosphorus of the king's army was exterminated on the Yong'an Road. All the broken pages of the ancient book were found to be uncontained. I swear to investigate and curse for eternity. The strong man driver smashed the ground with his iron fist, and the dust flew from his nose and smelled the smell of earth. His strong eyes stared. Tears bursting from the ink, tears streaming down his face, and he saluted and shouted, the stick God saves all souls. The truck overturned 3 times and the circular testimonies were uploaded to the forum. The drivers' union obeyed the order and will always follow the Soul King to smash the ghost truck. The thin young driver grasped the crowbar and imitated the stick pulse, half kneeling, and the ink tears burned his lips. He collapsed and screamed, Supernatural Master. The multi-armed engineer of the tunnel alien tide devoured his wife and children and regretted all the evidence. I posted my sky-high reputation and status to protect myself with a sword. It's so cool that there are no phantoms on the highway. Qiao Zhixia's cold body grasped Mo Fan's arm, his soul light was steady, his tearful eyes were locked on his calm face, and he gasped and softened, Mo Fan, free, reincarnation is completely broken, live. The blood groove in her neck was completely healed, her pale lips were pressed to her chest, and the scent of the soul was overcome by the sweetness of the ice. But for a sudden moment, black fog rolled up at the end of the road, and the clock in second hand clicked and reversed, freezing to death. The figure of the driver crawling out of the wreckage of the truck in the distance suddenly froze, his eyes were streaked with ink, and the smell of rotten iron in his breath rekindled his throat. Although the black hole of the tunnel shrunk, pulses of blood-red residual light flashed again in the depths, whispering like thousands of ants eating the brain, King, mend, forever. The engineer's soul-shattering ink core was not completely destroyed. The outline of the invisible giant body was 3 feet taller, and the cracks in the chest were reunited. His wife and children's shadows were clinking and pulling. The iron chains jingled and pulled, and the ink dripping from the sunken eyes locked everyone's hearts. The sickle arm twisted the rails and clicked with hooks and soul pain. Thousands of needles pierced the bones. The afterimage of the phantom car tilted and rumbled, the blood lamp shattered, the runes pulsed, and the imp summoned the claws crawled out of the ashes. The thunder rushed towards them, and the rancid waves pressed the fresh earth. The sense of smell collapsed. The green light of Han Xiao's blood talisman sword suddenly darkened and ate into the palm of his hand, and yellow pus leapt into flames. His face turned pale, and he knelt down on his knees. His nose was bleeding, rust was spurting out, and the stones were simmering. He stared deep into the depths of his eyes, and the blood and shadows reunited with fear, despair, and collapse. He roared loudly, "Brother Fan! The green phosphorus is extinct, thinking that reincarnation has completely ended the world. The ancient books are flying into ashes, and the remnant core king controls the replenishment army to counterattack. The talisman sword recognizes its master and double guards, but it eats the soul and kills everyone. There is no way to get rid of it." He climbed up with his legs and clamped the sticky ink on his eardrum. He twisted the iron snake on the back of his hand to block the hook, but the pulse of blood cut through the stone wall and burned his lungs. He trembled and stared at Mo Fan's calm back. The Soul King noticed it. The Yong'an Highway is normal in the morning, and now the invisible nuclear explosion is in the heart of the eye. The battle between the stick gods is invincible. The muscular driver's waist was healed by scars, and the blood was seeping into the soil. He hit the ground with his iron fist and was unable to crawl. He stared at the afterimage of the phantom car and the blood lights were locked. His eyes rolled white and his soul ached. Thousands of ants roared, and he became desperate and worshipped God. I turned over the truck 3 times to testify about my wife and children. The source is destroyed, but the risk of replenishing the remaining nuclear forces has been restarted. The hot searches on the forum are popular all over the world. Now the soul hook, sickle arm, and heart lock are all destroyed. The Soul King's stick pulse is stable and the world is cold. I swear to smash it. The nose smells sweet and burns the lungs, and the legs drag the ink and scream. The thin young driver opened his black eyes and drew ink to lock in the imp tide. He grasped the iron crow and simulated the pulse of a stick, half kneeling down and bursting out tears of ink. Fuck. The alien testimonies of the tunnel verified that the engineer's eternal life wronged his wife and children, and the iron chains begged for mercy. They were all hit. The runes broke and the bell moved. Highway safety thought it was over. Now the king's control whispers and gathers runes to summon the army. Awesome. With a flash of divine power from Brother Fan's ink blood, I swear to follow the eternal ruler of this forum. Qiao Zhi knew that Xia Zhang's body and soul were loosened, and the phantom of the iron chain around her neck was ringing and clanking. She rolled her eyes and brain hallucinated, mending, eternal life. Her cold hands grabbed Mo Fan's arms, ice tears dripped down her face, her soul trembled, she buried her chest, sniffed the blood, smelled the dirty soul, the sweet ice suppressed the rotten smell, and her voice trembled like a broken man. Zhu Jian screamed in despair and turned to attachment, Mo Fan, residual core, heart, pull, all members, imprison. The pulse of the Zhangji residual talisman sword was hidden in the depths of the eyes, the soul power was flowing through the stick, the pulse was hot, the second heart was pulsing faster, and the iron pliers were suppressing the new threat. Mo Fan sniffed the ice-sweet soul incense and pressed the blood-red afterglow. The rotten sweet rust burned his lungs. He locked his eyes coldly on the black hole in the tunnel and closed the hidden silhouette of the sickle arm. The low roar shook the eardrums. The pulse of the stick was hot. Jiang Chen's ink blood injected the Soul King's will and exploded his brain. He hugged Qiao Zhixia and the stick exploded against the yellow shield. Remnant core. The king controls the sourceless. It will be cut off forever. The green light of the shattered mobile phone reflected the shattered souls of his wife and children. The old talisman pulsed and flashed again in his eyes, but the ultimate secret of the century-old railway tragedy flashed in his mind. The 1924 collapse was not a natural disaster, but an engineer's greed for eternal blood to sacrifice his wife and children's heart with a talisman embedded in it. He breathed steadily, the stick touched the palm of his hand, and blood dripped wildly. The cracks in the remaining talisman sword clicked and crawled against the blood, and the second heart beat. Jiang Chen's legacy was completely integrated into his own soul. The green light on the stick's veins surged and pierced the Yingying's chest, and ink spurted out wildly. The hidden shadow engineer's giant body trembled for 3 feet and half appeared again. The chest was torn, the injured souls of his wife and children were pale, and the small shadow jingled the iron chain and whispered, "Dad, smash, free." The flat eyes were dripping with ink and drawn with fear locks. Mo Fan screamed and shook his eardrums, "Blood melt, reverse, eternal life is wrong, make up." The broken talisman sword self-destructed with a pulse of blood and green phosphorus. The residual fire licked the body and the rancid steam burned the nose. The multi-armed sickle hammer twisted the rails and locked the heart, but the hot veins of the stick injected the will and exploded the internal resentment. The sea of blood in the nuclear explosion was churning. The broken souls of the wife and children appeared, the iron chains shattered and clinked to the ground, wailing and extinguished. The afterimage of the phantom car rumbled and hit the wall. The blood lamp shattered and the runes pulsed intermittently. The kid's hooked claws stagnated and the black fog completely disappeared. The shadowy figure knelt down and shouted in regret, "Reincarnation, broken." The words fell and the ink core exploded. The green phosphorus extinction tunnel black hole sealed the blood-red residual light pulse forever. Han Xiao's bloody fingers wildly drew the anti-talisman formation to purify the remaining souls, staring at the hidden shadow and nuclear explosion, his face turned pale. He knelt down in fervent worship and shouted to suppress the aftermath of the thunder, "The Soul King's will is fully focused on the divine sacrifice. The residual core king controls the replenishment army, the injured souls of his wife and children, begging to be broken and freed from the iron chains that will eat him forever. Destroy, the ancient book has no solution to the divine situation, and the green light of the talisman sword protects and purifies the remaining souls. The road bells the world's peace." He grabbed the iron and blood oath, grabbed the stick and pulse, burst into tears, and smelled the rotten smell. Qiao Zhixia leaned on Mo Fan's shoulder, the soul light was firm and the blood groove in his neck was healed without scars, the cold fingers touched the stick and the pulse was hot, the pale lips pressed against the chest and the scent of the soul was sweeter than the blood-stained memory. She gasped and smiled and the soft light locked on her calm face, "Mo Fan, home, forever." The wave of laughter drowned out the ticking clock, the morning fog faded away and the lights of the high-rise buildings in the city returned to light, elongating the figure with endless road ahead. Qiao Zhixia's body and soul returned to her body, her cold pale color turned red and her blood grooves were completely healed and the iron chains were gone without a trace. Her pale lips gasped and her soul light surged and reunited. Her tearful eyes locked on Mo Fan's calm face and then screamed in horror, Mo Fan, will, note, sacrifice. She threw herself into a hug. The figure on the arm smells the sweet fragrance of soul and wraps around the nose to press the blood, but the green light of Mo Fan's stick pulse surges and the figure gradually fades into the talisman light. The second heart beats, Jiang Chen's ink blood melts forever and the residual talisman sword pulses to recognize the whole body. The blood will turn into green guard ring and expand Yong'an highway rail track luster without phosphorus fire. Mo Fan glanced coldly at the figures and faded away, whispering like the wind across the railway track, Chenzi, Zhixia, cursed Jew. Guard, the highway. The figure turned into a talisman, a green light penetrated into the three weapons of the residual talisman sword, broken mobile phone, and stick veins and pulsed forever. The breeze between the breath faded into the rotten smell and stopped. The clock in second hand ticked to accelerate the traffic on the highway. The normal horn sounded softly without phantom chasing. Han Xiao's anti-talisman formation was completed and the black mist that purified the remaining souls completely receded. He grabbed the green light talisman sword to seal the iron door of the tunnel and locked it forever. He burst into tears and knelt down to worship and shout, the three guardians of the Soul King's eternal artifact. Dedicate all your will to destroy the remaining core and sacrifice the master. I complete the ancient book on the highway and swear to abide by the 10,000 curses of Mo Fan's heroic soul investigation. The testimony of a strong driver on his mobile phone was uploaded to the forum and became a hot search topic. The Ghost King's wife and children were freed from death by smashing the century-old railway, and the driver's alliance vowed to follow it forever. The emaciated young man burst into tears while holding on to the iron. Brother Fan is a hero. The urban legend of truck repair has become history. In my circle, he is praised as the patron saint of late-night highways. Qiao Zhixia woke up and hugged the lingering sweet scent of soul in the air. Her tear tracks dried up and her veins pulsed with green light. Her soft light and her pale eyes locked onto the talisman light and whispered, Mo Fan, protect, home, go back. Everyone stepped out of the abandoned station and the morning sun shone on them. The skyline of the city in the distance was brightly lit. The truck overturned and the driver climbed out with a soulless hook to gasp and worship the talisman light. The green light of Han Xiao's blood talisman sword was inserted into his sleeve to verify the pulse of the broken page of the ancient book. The Soul King's roster will be carried forever, the highway guard. He turned his head and glared at Qiao Zhixia, who relied on the stick veins on his back and said enthusiastically, Sister Zhixia. Brother Fan sacrificed the three artifacts of his will to protect the soul. The nuclear crisis has just overwhelmed all the soul prisoners in despair. Now Yong'an is famous all over the world. I, Han Xiao, swear to accompany you to investigate the new curse. The traffic flow on the highway is smooth and there are no ghosts. The clocks tick smoothly and the runes on the mobile phone are extinct. The black hole of the abandoned station and the iron gate are forever sealed, and the morning light penetrates and fades into the eternal night. The burly driver called the police to deal with the trivial matter and yelled, the Soul King heroic driver's alliance will be passed on forever. The truck repair testimony is irrefutable that there are no phantoms chasing souls on the road late at night. The emaciated young man's forum post was a hot search topic. Mo Fan's sacrifice ended the century-old reincarnation urban legend history, and the laughter of the driver's circle overcame the soft sound of the tires. Qiao Zhixia grasped the veins of the stick and leaned on her shoulder to sniff the fresh morning breeze to suppress the blood-stained memory. Han Xiao's blood talisman protected the three flanking people as they walked parallel to the city direction, and the talisman's light pulse whispered to protect the endless road ahead. A few days later, as night fell in the city, the lights of the highways stretched endlessly in the middle of the night. Mo Fan's heroic spirit was eulogized in the driver's circle. The person who overturned the truck dreamed of the green light stick shadow blocking the claws of the ghost. The moment the clock stopped, the talisman light pulse reactivated, and the phantom car shadow appeared and vanished into smoke. The green light of the blood talisman soared in Han Xiao's ancient book pavilion shone on the remaining pages, and new clues emerged. Guardian of the Soul King, cursed the high-rise buildings in the city. He glared at his pulse with tears in his eyes and whispered, "Brother Fan, new battle." Qiao Zhixia's home was filled with the fragrance of the soul lingering around her nose and the green light of the broken mobile phone as she fell asleep. In his dream, Mo Fan coldly growled, "Guard," and when he woke up in the morning, tears of laughter rolled down his cheeks and warmed his pulse. The strong driver, Mo Shui, knelt down and stared at the tunnel for eternity. His strong eyes burst into tears. Mo worshipped and collapsed, shouting, "Sacrifice of God. My road cycle testifies to the tragedy of 100 years, and my wife and children will never be separated. I completely regret that the remnant nuclear counterattack has locked the heart of the crisis." The Soul King. Will the thin young man climbed up to worship and shouted enthusiastically, "Brother Fan's soul." The engineer sacrificed his wife and children forever to break the reincarnation, and my tunnel alien testimony became famous and popular. The highway is always safe, but unknown fear lurks under the neon lights of the city. The pulse of the three artifacts of the Soul King and the heroic spirit will last forever. Mo Fan's figure in everyone's memories calmly suppresses reincarnation. The overflowing wave of redemption floods the heart, and the road ahead stretches out wisps of new suspense and black mist.